landing. Woo! Well, alright. Yeah, they want me to fit in, but I can't. I'm too different with it, too advanced to think. You know my intuition. I got bars and ink, but never in a prison. Too far gone, never gonna sit and listen. This is optimism mixed with the best. You get it? What you're seeing is a beast in the flesh. I'm vetted up. I don't need to try to speak for the rest. Always keep it abrupt. They wanna keep it a mess, you know. This is what you get when you're sitting as a vet. But everybody know that you're a threat. With the rest, let's go. We won't fit in your box. We don't quit, we won't stop. Ride us all to the top. We won't fit in your, we won't fit in your, we won't fit in your box. No, we don't quit, we won't stop. No, ride us all to the top. Whoa. We won't fit in your box. No. Look, I try to tell you we don't fit in your box. Why you try to box me and I got the key to unlock? I know the locksmith, optics, speak of the loss. I'm eating lobster, chopsticks, freaking the boss. You know, I'll never fit in where I go at. Ooh, boss talk like I'm Boaz. Ooh, why fit in when you know you can stand out still? They remember you more when you hand out deals. Let's go. We won't fit in your box. We don't quit, we won't stop. Ride us all to the top. We won't fit in your, we won't fit in your, we won't fit in your box. No, we don't quit, we won't stop. No, ride us all to the top. Whoa. We won't fit in your box. No. Don't box me in. I do my own thing. Spirit is right within. I got my own way. Father is loud within. Look at the way that I do my ops again. Oh, better let me loose. You know that I got the juice. Everything I got to do. Words that I speak out my mouth, I gotta move. Oh, we can't fit in your box. We too cold and you know. We won't fit in your box. We don't quit, we won't stop. Ride us all to the top. We won't fit in your, we won't fit in your, we won't fit in your box. No, we don't quit, we won't stop. No, ride us all to the top. Whoa. We won't fit in your box. No. Thank you, Ben, for coming out tonight. My name is Son of Augustine. Let's go.
Welcome to the last day of the PUBG Mobile Club Open Last Chance qualifiers for all of these teams. I'm your host, Hot Jukes, here with Enigma Bro. It all comes down to this. Top 8 are moving on, and it's gonna come down to the wire because there's still quite a few teams that can still qualify, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we saw yesterday, Four Bros comes to mind. They had won a game themselves after being in that, 15th, 16th spot, and they shot up the leaderboard. They're only, 5, 6, maybe 8 points behind, which in our eyes is just one solid game away. Unfortunately, these teams only have 4 matches today for the last day of play, so hopefully the game from yesterday, especially from Four Bros, maybe occurs more often today, but that could be for a number of teams, Jukes, tonight.
100%. Come on, Leon. Go ahead and clutch it up for the squad. Put the team on your back, right? Hey, guys, which teammate do you think is going to be able to really pop off today? Of course, get in the conversation. Follow all the socials. You know what to do. And, of course, hit that hashtag PMCO so we can keep track of what is going on. You know what I'm saying? So, man, we talked about Four Bros, right? Top 8 is the goal for a lot of these squads. But there's also $6,000 on the line. And that's for first place and first place alone. And this is how they're going to be able to get it with these points right here. This point system has been in effect for a little bit now. And it's obviously just proven how important eliminations are, right?
Yeah, and I mean, some of these teams, we've seen, a bit of hesitation out of them, I guess you could say, in terms of, taking these early game engagements. But the teams that have been able to consistently take those elimination points themselves, and what comes to mind for me, at least, is Jerway's fan club. The first day, like I said yesterday, they had 4+ eliminations each day. So in my eyes, hopefully some of these teams can start putting up numbers like that, because at the end of the day, this is the last day. You're needing all the points you can get. And I mean, the elimination points are going to be up for grabs for anyone. You don't want to leave it up to, Nomads or some of these teams at the top to accumulate them, because we can see right now, first place, 55 total elimination points, while 8th place only has 31. Obviously, Jerway's fan club, Saturn Esports, is a little bit below that at 25, but you don't want to leave it up to placement. You said it best yourself, Cheeks. You want to put it in your own hands. You don't want to leave it up to chance.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, man, 412 has definitely put this tournament in their hands. They popped off the first 2 days, just so consistent. They look to cut above the rest, I think, when it comes to just synergy and movement. And that's why we see them at the top, right? 86 points. They do have a good, solid little gap, but they got to perform today, right? We kind of alluded to it yesterday, right? We talked about the possibility, right? We're going to get into some hypotheticals here, right? The possibility of YKG and other teams hunting down Nomads. Do you think that's something that we could possibly see today?
Now, YKG, I think, won't be dropping on Nomads. I think the drop spot's a little bit more sacred for some of these teams. They don't want to take that sort of coin flip we could note on in terms of just, if you get the right guns or not, if you're able to get the vest, the chest armor, stuff like that. But in terms of those early game engagements, I could 100% see it. I mean, all these teams are the top. They still have their eyes on that $6,000. 20 points is nothing for a squad like YKG, where we've seen them, especially in PMCO NA, where they've had pop-up days, even weeks on the squad. And this is still the same roster, even though they are planning on, making a few changes after. Doesn't mean that it's different right now. These are the same 4 players that have played, essentially all year in my eyes. And it's just a matter of, if they choose to do it or not. Hopefully this first airing goal will give us a bit of insight on it, but we'll have to wait and see for it.
Yeah, YKG's kind of had like a little bit of a roller coaster performance, right? Just kind of crazy games here and there with a ton of eliminations and a chicken dinner, and then just automatic like 1 elimination goose eggs, So
yeah,
hopefully we can see them, get a little bit more consistency, because Nomads is the team that's been all about consistency. But at the end of the day, the goal is to get top 8 for so many of these teams. They're trying to make their dreams come true when it comes to being a professional PUBG Mobile player. And the only way to get that done is to make it into top 8 and get into the grand finals. And these are your teams right now that are on the hot seat. And you can see, you talked about Four Brothers, but I'm going to say it goes all the way down, of course, to Level X, right? 13th place.
Yeah.
We talked about it yesterday as well. This is pretty much the cutoff. I think Manic and Toxic for Life are just too far away at this point. But you know what? I will say it's not impossible, okay? It's not impossible for Manic or Toxic for Life to still make it in. So if they're coming into today, they need a chicken dinner first game. There's only 4 games played, right? That's not a lot to be able to get some points on the board. So we're talking a solid elimination chicken dinner game number one for those teams at the bottom. And if they're able to do that, right, we could see them in contention for top 8. If they don't do it in game one, I think it's all over Enigma. So do you think that, considering that, do you think that those kind of teams, with seeing how they played so far, do you think they're going to just kind of just chill back and just say, hey, man, it's over, right? We're just going to kind of just have fun, do whatever we want? Or do you think they're actually going to go for it?
Well, I think the main thing is a lot of these teams, we haven't had too much time in taking a grasp of, how they view the game PUBG Mobile and stuff like that. Teams like Manic and Toxic for Life, obviously one game is just a requirement for them even to be in contention of top 8 since they're so far out. But I'm not going to discredit them just yet. I don't know the players that well enough, just off the 8 games we've seen. Maybe they perform well. There's a reason why they're in even the last chance qualifiers and stuff like that. They've made it all the way here off of performances they've had in the past. And right now it's a matter of, can you show up today or not? It's all about the first game. I'm going to side with you on this one. If they don't have a good pop-off first game, I'm going to be counting them out. But everyone else above them, Level X was at the bottom, but still within that basically 10-point margin of 8th place. I'll be interested to see how those teams choose to fight, because there are teams below you. Maybe Level X focuses one of those lower-end teams trying to get, 4 free elimination points. Maybe some of the teams like YKG choose to do that. But it's a matter of if these teams are comfortable taking those early engagement fights. I'd like to see it maybe on Erangel and Miramar. Sandhawk's a bit more of a wild horse for me because it's a smaller map and you're already going to have a lot of fighting going on. So it's a matter of time. I guess you could say it's just what these teams choose to do.
Yeah, you know what? I will say something that they do have to consider, right, is I've always looked at teams out of the bottom as the most dangerous squads in the lobby when it comes to the last day, right? So teams like Manic, Toxic for Life, yeah, we haven't seen a lot from them, and like we mentioned, right, need a pop-off game in game one to be even in the show. There's a certain shift that happens, though, in mentality, right? When you realize it's all over, right? We tried our best. It's mathematically impossible, right? Well, when that happens, all that anxiety, right? All that pressure, all that kind of like, oh, man, we got to do it. It just leaves your body, right? So all of a sudden we see those teams just go crazy, right? They all of a sudden are just like, oh, man, you know what? Let's just have fun. You know what? Whatever. And just that relaxation causes them to pop off more than we've ever seen before. And it hurts because I've seen that happen. I've talked to players and being like, man, why didn't we just play like this at the start? If we would have played like this at the start, we would have won, So hopefully we don't see that kind of case here. I want to see some adjustments in game plans and just kind of them going for it, because there's still a lot on the line, and that's for just making it into top 8. There's a lot of storylines here because there's still quite a bit of prize pool here in PMCO as well.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's just the relaxation factor. Some of these players maybe haven't been put in the position to be, oh my goodness, like I'm stressing about this. I haven't had to actually, perform on a specific day at a certain time in only 4 matches. So right now, I mean, we're getting into it, but these teams are needing to come into this, hopefully relax somewhat, have a solid game plan, maybe compared to the first 2 days, at least changed a bit. I wouldn't like to see the same sort of stuff, same sort of plays these teams make that are near the bottom. Possibly more aggression. We talked about the elimination points so much, but the playing path itself, not sure if we're going to see too much early game action. Obviously, Rosshawk, though, the last few days, Jigs, has been contested by 4Bros. So I'm interested to see a team on the edge of contention for top 8, maybe still fighting off drop.
Alrighty, well, here we go, folks. Last day, last chance qualifiers. Oh, this is where champions are bred. This is my favorite type, or favorite time in a tournament like this, because we get to see which players have that clutch factor, okay?
Yep.
And I talk about it a lot, and I can't stress how important it is to have that, because you can be training, right, all day long before PMCO. You can have players that are just monsters, right? Come showtime, though, those hands start to shake a little bit, and they're not quite as effective as they are when the pressure isn't on them, right?
Oh, yeah.
So some of those guys have that clutch, and I want to see it here and now, right? I want to see, honestly, I would love to see teams like Manic and just go off today and make something happen that we've never seen before. So I'm looking forward to that, and also teams trying to hunt down, a little bit of extra prize pool as well. We're gonna look at this first circle. It's gonna go up to the north side here, and we did have a little bit of a western plane path, so. Teams like YKG, all those other squads, I don't see anything out of the ordinary when it comes to drops. Do you?
No, I don't see anything. It's actually 4Bros having Rosshawk to themselves. C4 has been the team that's been dropping school apartments as well. And Saturn actually being able to make their military base drop island. It was a little bit in the water. I was a little worried if they'd have to maybe two-step it, find a vehicle, and rotate in. But it seems like they're going to make it just fine. And I'm kind of liking this. We talked about, one team missing out of the lobby. We only have 15 teams in these sort of tournaments right now. But these teams aren't contesting each other anymore. We're seeing the teams actually be able to play the game out, make rotates on time maybe, because there's always a timer. You see on the top right, minute 20, 19, 18. These players have an idea of we need to rotate by 30 seconds, we need to rotate by 0. Whatever the number is in their mind, it's almost like God's word for it. Like, you need to make this rotate. And some of these teams that are able to do it well are ending up in pretty decent spots in these zones. So I'm interested to see how the zone shifts, if it favors those teams that choose to rotate early, or if it's going to make those hard shifts on the edge and teams like YKG, who like playing edge, can maybe capitalize on.
100%. Yeah, let's see if they could do that. Because this is a big opportunity for them. And honestly, if you're a team like YKG, you should have you have a lot of experience, right, in moments like this.
Yeah.
Way more than pretty much almost any other squad that's in here. So if you're YKG, I think the strategy right now, especially game one, since you want to put up so many points on the board, is hyper-aggression. Because game one is where the nerves are at the highest. You know what I'm saying? So you could definitely take advantage of that and really just catch some teams off guard. And since this is a really good opportunity for them, they're going to be playing all the way from the edge. I don't want to see them, go all the way towards prison, wrap around through Stahlberg like the safe route. I think they need to be just kind of pushing through, getting those initial knocks, and just soaking up points in circle one. Because if they wait too long, then the chance for getting third partied is so huge. I think that's where they make the mistake a lot of the times, is they just go, they push squads in circle 3, circle 4, and just get ripped apart by other teams pushing on them.
Yeah, and I think it's also just the other teams in the lobby opting to, maybe they're just too comfortable with the NA teams that they're usually against in PMPL, where it's, maybe they don't take that early aggression until zone 2 or 3, so YKG is actually able to catch them off guard. But in this, we're dealing with PMCO teams. We're dealing with fresh players, fresh minds that, have their own way of viewing things. And I'd like to see them actually take the engagements to YKG as well. I don't like seeing YKGs being able to steamroll. Now, they do need to do that if they're wanting to catch that 6,000 and that first place over the Nomads. But these teams that are near the edge, near the bottom, that land next to YKG, maybe, camp or rotate. The vehicle camping, we've talked about it a lot. I kind of want to see it happen more often. A lot of it comes down to just studying how teams choose to rotate. And lots of teams make the same early game rotates, especially on similar zones. Now, these teams haven't scrimmed against each other much, from what I'm assuming, but there is enough info possibly where if, you do get a duplicate zone, that first 2 zones are the same as maybe day 1 or day 2, you could maybe capitalize off of it. Maybe, make some magic happen and you take out, one of these higher teams in the lobby and give yourself that confidence, because all of it's coming down to the nerves. We talk about it time and time again. You're needing to get an elimination point, and I personally would want the person that has the most nerves on my team that I feel getting the first elimination. Because that might just be a huge weight lifted off his shoulders. He has clarity. He's not stressing about underperforming if everyone else has an elimination. It's just I'm needing to see some sort of stuff happen today that these other teams haven't been able to do just yet.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. Here. Let's take a look here at Drew Way's fan club. One of your favorite teams. Look at that average eliminations in Aaron Gale. 3, so almost an entire squad. Not too bad. I mean, this is one of those teams I think that has some potential, for sure. Right? We've seen their ability to take some fights and really clutch it up in certain moments. Obviously, they definitely have some inconsistencies. It's really hard to tell because this is it's supposed to be a 16-team lobby. Fortunately, we did have one team that wasn't able to make it in. So 15 teams, it changes the entire game, right? That one team missing, oh my gosh, is an additional spot that's for free. So for these teams here, I want them to obviously do everything they can to clutch it up, but I don't want them to take themselves too seriously, right? If you're like a squad like 412 Nomads, which is doing so good, this could be, it's a tournament like this that could really screw you up. And what I mean by that is, you do so well in this tournament, you think that that strategy is just gold, right? You're like, oh my gosh, all we got to do is this.
For sure.
in the World Invitational or in PMGC and we're gonna win. No, right?
No,
Totally
hold
different
on a
game.
sec.
Yeah. Wait. No. Right? Just take this game for what it is and prepare for those. Even the what do you call it? The PMCO Grand Finals, right? Because if we have 16 teams in there, teams are going to be rotating faster. The skill cap just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's just something to consider.
How I kind of view it is we can make a note of YKG with this. We talked about wanting to see them play center to get practice in for playing center. I think if you play a game plan like 4-1-2 or, you know, that specific strategy is working, that's great. But you should think of it as one tactic you have in your playbook, one, you know, strategy that you have, and you want to expand on that to being able to play center, be able to playing edge, to be able to aggress on teams when you get an early knock, to be able to just play passive. All of it's just these teams that are near the top, you know, in Americas and just even our region alone. We'll have to put a note on that because looks like 4Bros, the team that landed at Rosshawk, finally getting slammed by C4 and Angry getting caught out by, looks like the full 4-man of C4. Not sure where the rest of his squad is, if he's trying to hold a split or maybe just didn't get a vehicle spawn there, waiting for his squad to pull up. But a little unfortunate for them. The zone shift's going to happen as well, and it's going towards shooting range, Jukes. 4-1-2 is basically dead center of the zone.
What a shift. And I think we heard a C4 brothers go for that push, but after that elimination and seeing that zone shift, they're like, yeah, let's get out of here. We need to go ahead and prioritize that circle. I think that was a set play right there from C4 because 4Bros annoyed them early on in this tournament, right? It was some nice early engagements on Erangel. So I think they did their homework a little bit, realized that there was going to probably be a player for 4Bros completely separated from his squad. And they took advantage of it. So nice way to pick up a huge point. Unfortunately, a really big loss for 4Bros here. I mean, losing a player early on. I'm surprised that they're having so much of a hard time here in Erangel of all places.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it's just these Erangel matches doesn't even seem like they're making it out of Zone 2. Mostly just either those early engagements, those contests off drop that they were just straight up losing, or it was the rotations. And we're seeing some people now, you know, taking some rotations and taking damage. Now, obviously, you getting shot is going to be a given. A lot of these teams are going to be holding splits and stuff like that. 4-1-2's even taking shots at Blue Team. But you're needing to make sure you rotate a certain way so you don't get knocked, so you don't get thirsted, and you're able to collect that information. I think also a main thing is some of these teams aren't that good at gathering information, whether it's where teams are at, whether you maybe recognize a split, and even just watching the kill feed itself, seeing what squads are missing and where they could possibly be on the map. Because we all know a team like YKG, they drop Primorsk. We know Saturn drops at Millibase. If we see them getting thirsted in the kill feed, we know that, hey, there may be south side, there may be west side of zone. I doubt they're going to be in the center unless it was a hard shift. I doubt it's going to be them on the north side. A lot of it's just players being able to recognize and adapt to what information they get in the game.
Well, let's see what adaptations are going to happen here as we're going to look at 4-1-2, the team at the top. And, man, these guys are looking like they're going to stay right there. I mean, look at this. 2-3 eliminations so far. They're going to keep their entire squad up. Man, these guys, they're looking to put that $6,000 in their pockets real quick.
Yeah, and I mean, I just feel bad for Blue Team because the spot I feel isn't that bad, and now they're just essentially down to 2. One of those on the cusp teams, C4 opting to take a fight in this weird looking, 3-stack. It's 4Bros again. They followed him across the bridge, Jukes. Oz in a 1v3 situation. Looks like a bit of a third-party shot's coming out, but Sick cleaning him up with the DVS. 2-2 for the squad, making it 4 total eliminations. 4Bros, unfortunately, the first team out on the last day. You don't like seeing that at all.
No, we do not. Now we're going to see some action happen here. Level X, one of the teams that desperately needs to put points on the board. Looking a little bit lost here, trying to figure out where they're going to go. Carnage goes down. That's going to be pretty rough. Meanwhile, you got Joey from YKG trying to make something out of nothing here. They're pretty split up and down and out. I think 24K is probably not going to get rest here. Krish trying to do some shenanigans there on the back of that buggy to get a little bit more sight lines. Gets popped and says, nope, that will not work. Let's see if they can pick up 24K. Here comes Chico on the run. On the drive. Is he going to make it?
Oh, they're going for it.
Is he going to make it?
1 HP.
Oh,
he jumped out.
They got it. Wow.
Wow. Look at that. Toxic for life on the ridge above them. Now, YKG is still kind of chilling. Joey having to make the mad dash. Maybe he's little bit of a Neo cosplay going on for Halloween, dodging the bullet. But Level X, I mean, the zone shifted thankfully to the northwest here as they were on this engagement, so YKG's not having to stress too much about getting the revive and, resetting and stuff like that. But unfortunately, it's Level X again. This early part of the days, now I'd like to say Level X is a team that performs better on the later parts of the day, but today's the last day. We'd only have 4 matches, and if you're already down to 1, it's looking really rough. And here we go, TF4 deciding to crash Manic. The 2 teams near the bottom basically fighting it out, and looks like a 1-for-1 trader now. They kind of lost for the players out. Never mind Hottie getting the knock on the Mafia, and Ashu's just a little bit lost on this Overwatch, not finding more trades that he needs.
See what he can do. Let's see what he can do, because the Finest 4 are one of those teams all the way at the bottom, right? So they really need to finish this fight, and it's against Manic of all teams. Why this is the worst case scenario, right? 2 teams desperately looking to get points, fighting each other. Oh, Manic trying to put up a fight here. That nade could be good. Oh, it misses the mark. They're on top of that guy. He's getting shot up, though. He's going to run. Gets caught with the nade in his hand. Did it drop? It doesn't matter. Manic is out of there with 0 points. So I don't know if you guys heard that, but I heard it too, right? That might be the nail in the coffin there for Manic, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, knock on wood. Hopefully it's not, but that team as well, Colin. Oh, and I think he got shot through the window. Yeah, he didn't realize that they were getting third-partied, so they actually get eliminated at that little 1 sec as well.
Oof.
Both squads
Lose.
get eliminated. Lose-lose situation now. It's Twisted Militia holding this sort of spread on a Saturn Esports. I believe they've already gotten 1, if not 2, thirsts onto them, and it looks like they're making the crash.
Oh, what did I tell you about Circle 3? You know what I'm saying? You want to avoid fights at all costs because the timing is so bad. Like, everyone's rotating, especially on a hard shift. If you do a push, you're going to get third party, and that's exactly what happened to those 2 teams. Meanwhile, Saturn, right, trying to hold this 2-stack, this little mini Alamo here, as we see Militia.
Oh.
Twisted Militia throwing some nades indoors. Oh, man, he has no chance.
Yeah, I mean, they're even going for the reset too, so you can't get the elimination point, but he gets the knock on Ronnie with a good little pre-nade. No meds on him. He's going to have to do this 1 HP. 2 players essentially full HP. A little bit of a DBS action. Hits the shots. Twisted Militia with the full squad wipe. Oh, wait. What is this? YKG with the third-party slam on the edge of the zone. Team that was already fighting, able to rotate away from Level X, and now just cleaning up Twisted Militia. Nice play,
3 points.
But a little unfortunate that it's YKG next to you, So 6 eliminations on YKG, 5 of them with fears. Waiting to see Joey activate later on, but we talk about the clutch factor, clutch player on your team, and I think Joey is the first person that comes to mind, in my eyes at least, of being that sort of clutch factor that you want.
He's got it. He has it for sure. I've given Joey enough clutch badges. That is a guarantee right there. So he could definitely pop off when the time is coming. But I'll tell you what, they're trying to catch 412. They have 6 eliminations. That's great. But 412 has 5. Like, you have, if you want to catch these guys, you have to shut them down. You have to put it in your own hands because they are playing too good right now. And they're going to run away with this one here. Level X goes down. That's another team that really needed some points. That is brutal. Remember, guys, we're only playing 4 matches here today. So every game counts, right? No mistakes can be had. And we'll see what happens here. 412 is looking to soak up some more points. I said it earlier, and I'll say it again, right? If you want to win in a tournament like this, if you're going to start an engagement, it has to be in Circle 1, Circle 2, where there's so much space that you have a little bit of time to either disengage or not. Circle 3 or 4, starting a fight, you're going to get third party almost guaranteed.
Jukes, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news for some of these squads, but Baton's got all 5 eliminations on Nomads. I believe the damage number before Baton's shots was 1,200 total. He's got 1,100 damage himself for the squad. So this guy's just rolling the lobby alone. His other teammates are all great and all, they all are able to shoot their guns, but he's like, hey, I'm able to wipe all these squads myself. So if I'm any of these other teams, I mean, I'd almost maybe wait for them to take an engagement and try to third party, because it seems like taking a straight up 4v4 fight right now is not possible.
Baton's a monster, man. I'll tell you what, that is one player that we're going to definitely keep our eyes on here in the future because he can make it happen. I've seen him do it against the best of the best in North America. Alim is a great player as well. The whole squad, and I'm glad that they're sticking together here and getting some more work in. You know, unfortunately, when it comes to YKG, this may be the last time we see this full roster together. I have been told that they're going to have some changes coming up in the future. So one last hoorah for this squad of YKG. We'll see what they can do as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, some of these teams right now are not really taking as much aggression as I'd like to see, you know, putting it into their own hands, so to speak. 21st Century now being the team to take on Nomads. I believe Nomads had lost a single player on their squad, so down to just 3. A little bit of a fair fight for 21st Century, but working up this hill is not looking too good for them. They don't really have smokes down either. They're spotting them out. Lux gets immediately beamed, and Baton, I mean, is
6.
He's finding them all. He's finding them all.
He's just eating. 8 eliminations. And I'll tell you what, YKG is seeing this, right? They're like, oh my gosh, like we're popping off, but they're popping off as well. What are we going to do here? I mean, 8 eliminations. This is nuts, man. I'll tell you what, this 412 Nomads, I was super impressed with them. The last time I saw them in PMPL, I thought they had a lot of potential. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it to the big show. But I'm seeing a hungry team here, right? A squad that's ready to put in the work and getting better and better as time goes on.
Yeah, I think it's kind of, you know, we tried having it with, you know, the N-Hyper situation and stuff like that a while back when we used to cast Titan series and stuff like that. It's, you know, I hope it lit a fire, you know, under their seat, so to speak, because this team now, from what I've seen from PMPL NA to now, is almost night and day, and we've only had seen glimpses of it in NA, but now it's, you know, it's a lot more apparent. Obviously, the competition's a little bit different here, it being PMCO Grand Finals. But this squad right now is really choosing to, you know, take the aggression, learn from their mistakes, and apply it now for the future games.
Let's see what mistakes are going to be had right here. C4 is going up against Black Mamba. Sick goes down. OZZ, you know me, is a little bit further back. He's going to have to make a push here. Maybe, yeah, one nade could do it. He's going to sacrifice his teammate. But that nade looks good! Oh my gosh, that destroyed them. One more. That was an eviction notice, and here is the posted sign. Oh, he's getting shot from the back, though.
Oh, YKG maybe? One of those teams up the hill is shooting him, but it's down to just Oz, and there's only one player up on Black Mamba. If he hits the nade, it could be 4 free elimination points for C4. They already have 4 themselves, but one of them bleeds out. It's down to just 3 now. Only Unknown up with full HP, essentially. Few of these teams, though, are noticing the smokes now and starting to turn their eyes at it.
Too far.
A little bit far. He's got another, though. One more. He's got to hit it.
Pick and roll. Oh, it tapped him a little bit. Yeah, but missing the mark here. That's all his utility. He's going to have to do it with his weapon now. I think he saw a toe, maybe. No, now he's stuck. Now he's in the blender. This is the worst case scenario.
He took a little long. A little too long. OG's starting to look down on him as well. YKG's holding an immaculate spread on the north side of this. Just making sure whoever moves, if Black Mamba chooses to try to aggress on the last C4 player, they can get the knocks. If C4 Oz tries to make, you know, a hero play and get the last 3, they can shoot him. But unfortunately, both of these teams are kind of in a gridlock situation now with no frags. They kind of just wait for the next zone.
100%. Yeah. So now's the time to definitely you could take fights here for sure, right? Because it's so isolated and there's so much room that if you're at least teams pushing on the edge. If you try to center up, you could get third party. But clearing out your side of the map should be priority. So teams looking inwards. Honestly, there should only be one player looking inside, just trying to find out where the next spot's going to go, just in case the zone shifts away. The other teammates should be focusing on clearing their backs and their surrounding areas.
And I think the 2 teams that have been doing that perfectly are, unfortunately for these squads, the 2 top teams right now, essentially being YKG and 412. Now, obviously, 412 just had 1 player knocked by the fan club, but YKG still making this aggressive play. They have the utility from the earlier fight, and I mean, he's got another molly. That's it for him. 12 eliminations, 7 of them on Fierce. Joey still hasn't activated just yet, but I wouldn't say, you know, he hasn't been a team player for us in this match at all. And now look at this. I mean, they're starting to just envelop the edge of the shooting range wall right now. And OG and Baton are going to have to make this sort of rotate. I'd say Baton, obviously it's 4-1-2, but Baton, in my eyes, is going to have to make this sort of rotate towards YKG.
All right, well, let's see how he's gonna make that shift, because he's gonna have to do it a lot sooner rather than later here. As we look at that, Ricky here at the edge of shooting range. OG. OG's another one of those squads I think you definitely got to keep your eye on, because these guys could definitely pop off if they had the opportunity. But man, I'll tell you what, Crow and 412 Nomads, if they got you in their sight lines, you gotta hide, because these guys can hit them.
Yeah, and the team stats itself right now are obviously just you're really just shaking hands with each other about how well you're playing. But right now, the 1v2 on the, oh my goodness, Kidu just absolutely destroyed him. This is the same guy from yesterday, Jukes, that was popping off with the S12K, but he blows him up, I think. Wow, Crow clutching it up.
Unreal.
Unfortunately, I think he eliminated both of them on the vehicle explosion as well, but keeping his team alive. There's only 5 teams left around here. Most of them are, solo duo, but JFC and YKG, 2 teams that have 4 squads, huge elimination different points. The fan club has 0 eliminations, haven't even really shot their guns yet, while YKG is dropping 14 right now.
Whew. And they're not done yet. They are not done yet. I'll tell you what, this is the YKG we've been waiting to see, and I mean, probably the last time we're going to see this whole roster together, and man, they are looking really, really good here. Gervais Fan Club is going to have to do something. Now, unfortunately, they've smoked themselves out, so they have hardly any sight lines at all. Ricky might be able to spot Chico, though. That could be interesting. Now, Chico, I think, realizes that he's not trying to put himself in a bad spot. So, with this being stage 6 and only 5 teams remaining, yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a stalemate here. Not a lot of teams have to move, but in the next circle, they definitely are. You can see Crow on the hunt. Last player up for 412, looking to soak up some more points as well.
Yeah, and it looks like Gervais Fan Club might be able to get a drop as well for him. If the zone shifts off YKG, it's still playable for them if they take, a little bit of time and maybe see where the zone goes. Maybe not try to force the fight with YKG, but as I say that, they pressure Chico off. He rotates back to his team, groups up a bit with Fears at the bunker spot. And I think a lot of these teams now, they've started to sort of like settle into where their positioning is, and they're going to be waiting for the next zone shift. So if you're JFC, you're hoping it shifts south. You're hoping it shifts southwest even. So YKG has to play a more, disadvantageous position. And hopefully they're able to start clearing out some of these solos to get a few extra placement points later on.
Let's see what happens here. Some shots coming out from Chico and the rest of YKG. Here they go. Just trying to get an opening knock. As Gervais Fan Club's looking to hunt down some information, but man, that cost him some armor there. 24K does get one knock. Are they going to push this? Yep, here they go.
And it looks like it. They have the vehicle set up. Chico has already used his frag grenades. It's just going to be 24K maybe going for the nades. Actually stops early, and it looks like they're going to angle this out. They're not actually going to full crash, not leave it up to, the close range fights where the DBS is so strong. Oh, I think he canceled the res with just that random spray. Chico, in-game awareness is absolutely immaculate right now. I rarely see him take damage in these sort of late-game positions, applying pressure. Now, unfortunately, he's only got 24 bullets left, make it 16 now, but the damage coming out from him is not something to mess around with. And, oh, Jukes, 9 frag grenades on 24.
Wow!
This is going to be an absolute bombing zone on the fan club. And, I mean, Ricky's 1 HP. He might get a med off, but... Oh, there goes one.
It's a red
Chico's
zone.
angling out, and I mean, it's inevitable at this point.
Yeah, Gervais Fan Club just laying down. Honestly, at a certain point, you got to stand up and shoot. Otherwise, you're going to get eliminated no matter what. And the run over. Fears doing it in style. 18 eliminations. We talked about a 20-point game that they needed. They're going to do it with eliminations alone. That is insane.
Yeah, and unless Blue Tiam, I'm kind of liking this spot where he's at in the center. Xenos might be able to catch 1 or 2 YKG players off. But if I'm C4, if I'm 412, I'm hoping that some of these other teams knock and thirst YKG. Because that's the only chance you're going to be able to win the matches. Someone bites the bullet, gets the knock on the YKG, someone else maybe finishes, and then you're in an already disadvantageous position. But 2v3, 1v2 is a lot more doable than 1v4. So we'll have to wait and see. I think they also spotted a C4 player as well. So we might see this huge wrap again from YKG. Instead of it being the west side, it's going to be onto the east. But right now, it seems like they're just going to chill. They've had their fair share of aggression. And we're going into stage 8 after this. 10 seconds left, Jukes, until the zone shifts.
And this will be the final circle, right? The zone will go down into nothing right after this. So this is going to make things interesting. I'm going to say it already. YKG win this match. Like, they've won it. Like, there's no way they lose, for sure, right? So I think in this case, if you're 4-1-2 and you're Crow, what do you do in this situation, right? Because I think at a certain point, you got to realize, like, oh, man, they're going to win this game. What do I do, right? Do I try to make a play, or do I have to try to just deny the point?
I think a lot of it just comes down to how the zone shifts. Now, C4, 4-1-2, they're going to have to make the rotate in at some point. I think they might have spotted a blue Tian player. And if I'm 4-1-2 or C4, I'm not feeling the 1v4 against YKG. I'm watching the kill feed. I'm seeing it only their name on the elimination spread. So if I'm them, I'm going to ignore YKG. I'm going to try to go for the placement because you've already got some elimination points under your belt. 4-1-2 obviously had it. And they showed the damage chart just now for 4-1-2. Still, Baton being the top player in the lobby for damage, but every player after that was YKG. And they're almost at 3,000 total damage dealt. 2 of the eliminations were frags.
Oh my gosh.
Definitely into the 3,000 range now for the damage. And oh my goodness, this is a slaughter fest from them.
Oh, they recognize that there's an isolated player. They're pushing this 2v1 all day long. Here comes Joey with the molly. You got to be careful, though, not to go on the other side of the building. Yeah, here we go. Lutiam actually getting shot up, I think, by a different player.
Nice.
But it doesn't matter. Joey's getting that point as well. 20 eliminations for YKG. Looking so good. Crow, hey, got a couple extra placement points, but that's going to be canceled out because he's taken out just like that. 21 eliminations, make it 22.
It's going to be 22. Yeah, it's 22 at this point. And now it's Blue Tiam, thankfully. They did lose 2 players early on in this match, but they were able to get into that top 2 place. But the story at the end of the day is always going to be YKG. And, I mean, at this point, would you almost, like, self-molly Jukes, prevent the point?
Oh, my gosh.
Doesn't matter. YKG, 22 eliminations, and it's just like, I'd like to see the damage spread on all the players, just the whole team chart almost, because they just waxed the lobby. And Baton was up there with them. It wasn't like it was one team dominating, but they showed that it was 4 people dominating the lobby. So shout out to them. You really love to see it, Jukes. But Blue Tiam, though, being able to snake in, kind of nice to see from them.
Yeah, good to see some other teams get some points on the board, but I'll tell you what, YKG almost soaked them all up. I cannot stress how crazy 22 eliminations are, especially considering that this is there's 15 teams in here. So unreal. I think that's half the lobby almost. That's crazy.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So unbelievable, right? That is how you do it. So how much of that gap is going to be closed now between them and 4-1-2 Nomads? Because 4-1-2 Nomads did a great job, right? They put up some big points on the board. At a certain point, I think if you're YKG, what do you do? I mean, it's kind of hard because, like, you decide, like, hey, should we at least camp their vehicle rotation, try to take them out early, or just do what we've been doing? Because, honestly, if they just have nothing but games like this, I mean, it's going to be pretty hard to do. But if they do, I think they're going to be good to go.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it's going to come down to, where they drop on certain maps. Sandhawk, like I said, I'm not going to see them really focus 4-1-2 in terms of YKG doing any sort of focusing, but Miramar and Erangel is the more comfortable maps for these teams. It's a lot more open. You can actually use vehicles and make rotates and set up camp spots. Maybe they do pull it out on, Miramar and stuff like that, or the last Erangel. 32 points. And then next is 14. That's not even half of what YKG got in that game. And I think the gap was somewhere by 20 points or something, Jukes. This is looking like it's only going to be, 5-6 points maybe on the gap. So YKG, we wanted an answer on the first game from them in terms of if they're going to be gunning for first place, and I think we got it.
Damn. That's all I can say is just damn. I mean, this is crazy here. I mean, how wild is it to do 14 points, 9 eliminations, right? With a solid placement as well. And thinking, hey, that's a good game, right? But a team is going to overtake you by 17 points. That's unreal.
Well, we can look down at the bottom too, and I mean the elimination points being 22 and stuff. You picture the first page having, teams for the most part, maybe they have missing placement points, But some of these teams have 0 eliminations. Blue Tiam, Jerway's fan club, 0 elimination points. And they're on the first page just showing, I don't even know what the second page is going to look like, because YKG didn't lose a single player that match. Wasn't like they took engagements and lost fights.
Gosh.
Now, we do see a few elimination point spreads coming out, but I think a lot of it was just those engagements that were taking, you know, those 4v4 fights. You talk about Zone 3. YKG being the team next to them, third partying, and just soaking up the elimination points. So Saturn, Manic, all those teams. Oh my goodness! 100 to 100 tied.
Are you kidding me? Game number 1, and they have caught up to 412 Nomads. This is insane, right? I mean, what happened? I thought that gap, I was like, oh yeah, they're good. I mean, they're pretty solid here. All they gotta do is just put up some decent points, and they got this. No, sir. No, sir. It's a shootout, baby. It's gonna come down to the last 3 matches to see who's gonna get that $6,000. YKG is in the mix. Woo!
Yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at old gangsters and stuff, and I'd like to say they're in contention for it as well, but what I just saw, I don't think YKG or 412 is going to be slowing down anytime soon. So these teams, essentially, now it's a battle between the top 2 teams for first place, that $6,000 prize pool, and then third, fourth, fifth, maybe fighting it out for third place. And then after that, it's the question we've all been waiting for. Who's going to be those remaining 8 teams? You know, the top 8 is the magic number. These teams still, I didn't see any lower end teams, you know, on that leaderboard pop off this game, because of course it was YKG. So you're still just condensed down to really being on a leaderboard of just, you know, when are we going to be able, are we going to really leave it up to the last game if we end up getting maybe 5 or 6 elimination points? Doesn't sit well with me.
Hey, things aren't just heating up, guys. They're already on fire. Tell your friends, come watch the show. Make sure you use that hashtag PMCO. We're going to be right back after this break. pow, 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 baby. We got a shootout here. Let's go, man. I can't believe it. We were just talking during the break, and we were just saying, like, hey, yeah, man, I was thinking after that, seeing a game like that, okay, maybe YKG could catch up to them after game number 2. No, sir. Game number 1. And it's so insane because I was like, oh, yeah, there's no way YKG's catching him up after watching 412 pop off so hard, right? At a certain point, they were tied with like 8 eliminations, and I was like, yeah, all right, YKG's having a great game, but it's all canceled out. But then all of a sudden, YKG said, no, sir. No, sir. We're going to go ahead and do something that hasn't been seen in PMCO before.
Yeah, I mean, 22 eliminations. In my eyes, that's the most I've ever seen in a PMCO match. PMPL even maybe close to that, but for YKG, maybe they were watching the stream, you know, in the background, they're, hey, like, these guys are talking smack about us. They think we're not able to do it. Let's shut them up and prove everyone in the lobby that we're maybe the better team. And unfortunately, they weren't able to pass Nomads to prove themselves that, but they're even with them. This is level playing field. We have 3 matches to go. It's Miramar, Sandhawk, and Erangel. It's all going to come down to what kind of game plan you have going in these matches. And we see the live rankings, of course, on the left. We've got Original Old Gangsters and C4 Esports just below them. Blue Tiam and, you know, in the runner-up spot there for 5th. But the 8th place mark, a little bit of a gap between 9th with 6 points in the difference. But that goes all the way down to level X. We're talking a 12-point difference from 8th to 13th. And I want to see.
I think at this point,
some of these teams to pop off
safe. Yeah, I think Black Mamba's safe at this point with 60, right? But Saturn and Drew Ways Fan Club are in trouble. That's for sure. So it's really up to both of these teams to put some points on the board to keep them safe in that top 8. But when it comes to, you know, 9th place, 10th, and all the way down to level X, it's about time. You're going to have a game like YKG just had, honestly, right? You need to put up some big points if you even want a shot now.
Yeah, and I'd be scared too because just seeing that first match, it wasn't like it was a new team kind of winning the lobby. It was YKG winning out. Nomad was basically, you know, the runner-up team soaking up the points that maybe you would have liked to get if you don't finish first. And those people are secured at the top. You're needing these games to go well. And Jerway's Fan Club might have the possibility to do this. They landed towards La Bendita, and the zone is directly centered on Los Lianos. Now, I've always loved these sort of building finish because we start to see teams really start putting in the work and the effort, whether it's smoke grenades or frags or just movement around, you know, compounds and stuff like that. Because we usually see it on mountains and stuff like that, or ridges and hills. But in buildings, it's a lot different. There's a lot more angles. You got to worry about first and second stories. And if you don't clear your angles out, you could really get caught in the back and wipe your whole team out, essentially.
100%. Now we got this first circle. It's going to be all the way down to the south. Always a brutal one in Miramar. I think a lot of these teams will prefer a northern zone. The terrain in the south is not easy. And look who we got going up against each other. The finest 4, right? The team all the way at the bottom. Yeah, average elimination's only 1 here.
Oh.
And that's on Twisted Militia. So not a great start for pretty much either of these squads, but heck, if one of them can get a good squad wipe without losing a player, that's going to be the dream. And honestly, it's the dream of Twisted and as well as the Finest 4, because the Finest 4 desperately need it like you wouldn't believe here. They need a 22 elimination chicken dinner, I think, if they even want to make it in the top 8 at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, the average damage is looking, you know, 500 total, a little bit above that, 1 elimination. It's really going to have to be almost, I feel it had to be gifted to him at this point. We are seeing, you know, the engagement start to unfold a little bit. We see Calon, no helmet. He does have a UMP. They have 3 eliminations, at least to themselves, almost double the damage as Twisted Militia. But I'm kind of liking the spread that Twisted Militia has more known spot on top of this church. You're able to oversee anything and everything. You're able to see when people rotate. They do have an idea that Ashley's on a bit of an off angle, and it's a matter of time to see, you know, hey, maybe we can hold him on this one-centered compound. We could see it, you know, the players on the brown, you know, sort of circles on the map. They're completely surrounding the 3 players. It's up to Ashu to be able to move around the map here to try to find an opening knock for his team to push out.
Well, let's see what opening knock they're going to be able to get here as we're watching both these teams just kind of loot up real close to each other. This is all the way near Impala here. So it's not necessarily a fight that necessarily needs to happen. And I think that's something that a lot of these teams need to learn, right? Early on, sometimes it's okay to just split loot, guys. You know what I'm saying? Just, hey, we'll take this loot, you take that, we'll fight later on right now. We're both under-geared. You know, it's a lose-lose scenario because you're under-geared. Your rotation timing is now going to be late, and it just puts you in a bad spot overall, unless you're able to get the full squad wipe without losing a player. But that doesn't always happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it's, Ashu, I'd like to see him maybe even just start running down the road away from Impala, try to find a vehicle spawn, and then leave it up to his 3 teammates of, hey, you need to back out of this. Now, Adrian was a solo across the street. They could possibly make the push onto him. The building sort of blocks Known's position where he was on top of that church tower. But some of these teams are already making the rotates as well. Saturn, already in the buggies. I believe there was a team in Los Leones at some point. Not too sure if they're going to run into him just yet, but hopefully not. It's only the first zone. And Saturn, the team that I enjoy, same with Jerway's fan club, that are on the edge, that I like to see them in the top 8, but unfortunately maybe not getting that chance if they don't perform in this game.
Well, let's see if they're going to be able to get that chance or not here. Twisted Militia, they are adamant here. They do end up having one player get knocked, so that's going to be core FPS. You see Ronnie running around just trying to get that res off. Uh-oh. Call's there. By himself, though. This is not where you want to be, right? The rest of the team, he needs to have at least one extra player because now he's in a situation where he needs to win a 1v1.
Yeah, I mean, you also have to stop this revive, though. You can't let Ronnie get the reset off, and it looks like that's what T4F's doing is they're all going to start grouping on Callan and, prevent this revive. Now, Known has to hit the shots. He does a few into it, but I'm not sure if that's really enough. If you're, Callan, you must make the call of, we need to push this. We're on a timer. We've got maybe 3 or 4 seconds left. And we're seeing the util come up. But I think it's just a little bit too late now. They've already got the revive set up. Twisted Militia now on a spot to counteract this push from the Finest 4.
Let's see what happens here. Yeah, the thing is that Known is all up really on top of the church. What do you think about that split, right? What do you think he's going to do up there?
Well, I mean, he's just a little bit of Overwatch. Unfortunately, he's already shot and didn't get a knock himself. So we're actually seeing some of the players on the Finest 4, one of them with the Winchester, maybe playing Overwatch. And that would be insane. I mean, last game, 22 elimination, and the other with the Winchester knock off the start. But Twisted Militia getting the knock onto Ashu's teammate, missing the chance of making it a 1-for-1 trade. Ronnie going in as well. Now wins the next 1v1. 2v2 situation. They're both 1 HP. I don't know if they have meds, but the pre-fire is starting to do wonders. He misses the pump. Oh, and he hits the second. 1v2 situation. Core can't get his head caught up. He has Adrian now up with him. Known is still on the church, but Overwatch. It looks like they're actually going to play it slow. They're going to go for the reset.
Oh my
no
gosh,
helmet really on either of these players.
He's going to go for the bandage? You got to go for the shots, man. You got to go for the shots. That bandage ain't going to help out. That Molotov was perfect. It's going to catch Mafia. He's trying to run on the other side. And they're so undergeared. They're so undergeared.
Yeah, I think Mafia, his teammate that he just
revived,
actually was out of the molly. And this is taking way too long. If you're Known, you have to come down. Your team's already in the building next to him. It's a 3v4.
You should have already been coming down, bro.
I'm not sure what you're doing up there now.
Oh, man, I'm not sure what he was doing up there in the beginning, man. He needs to get down there and help his squad. He's so fortunate and lucky that they even got a reset in the first place. Ronnie's running away from the Molotov. It doesn't matter. He gets shottied right in the back. And now things are falling apart for Twisted Militia. Oh, but the shot from Adrian gets immediately returned. And that is going to be a GG easy for the Finest 4. Here he comes! No, let's go!
There he is.
On the run!
1v4.
Da-da-da.
He's got some of the right guns. I mean, he's got
not wait.
an S12 with it, but I mean, it's 4 of them. They're all pretty low, though. If he hits some nice pre-fire jukes, I could see him maybe winning it out, but
got one.
He gets the one that's full HP. Thirst as well. Oh, but the pre-fire, though, the Finest 4 4-for-1 trade. I'm kind of a fan of it. I thought they were going to be eliminated as soon as they lost the first knock. As this is going on, then the zone shifts away from them to the south. 4-1-2. Looks like they took their time, a few of them rotating in, but Baton's dead center. Fan club's just north as well, and there's some teams on the edge of the zone out here. 4 bros and Toxic for Life holding each other up, and oh my goodness. I'm seeing 3 elimination jukes and 1 player on 4 bros, so we must know what have happened. He might actually get blown up from downtown. Oh, doesn't seem like it just yet. The monster truck jukes I wouldn't drive
off.
if it was smoking because it's so large. I mean, it's almost impossible to miss, you know?
For sure. It definitely is. You can see them just trying to take off. Here goes Angry on the run. And we'll be able to get safe for now. Level X, one of those teams that needs to put some points on the board. You know what I'm saying? All these teams really do. But, yeah, Level X is definitely going to be one of them. I know they got a lot of fans in here watching, so shout out to everybody that showed up and supporting your team. And even if your team you're watching, you know, is not doing too well, still show them some love. I mean, it's PMCO, right?
Ooh.
This is where it all starts here, so it's okay to see some teams struggle. It's going to happen, right? But it's all the start. Hope they don't get discouraged and continue to just put in that work.
Yeah, and those numbers, Jukes, I'm sorry to break it to you, but I saw 2 goose eggs up there. 0 damage, 0 elim average on Miramar. Now, it's only, you know, a small map for it compared to Erangel. Won't see it too much. But Level X, they've got to drop this game. They've got 4 vehicles. They've got all 4 up. They weren't contested. Unfortunately, as I say that, we see in the kill feed, 412 Gunpain actually slaughtering now Level X. And, you know, a little bit of Caster's curse, unfortunately. I'm gonna say it. Maybe you and I have been rubbing the genie or whatever the wrong way or something, because now they're the team that's needing the points. They're already succumbing, I guess you could say, to the pressure of the last day of PMCO.
So yeah, man. YKG did exactly what they were supposed to do, right? Because I was talking about how much that pressure was gonna affect these teams, especially in game number 1. So I was like, YKG, you just gotta go hyper aggressive. That's what they did, right? They just went and just ran over and steamrolled every player. It just got a crazy game. So yeah, definitely so much potential here. This southern shift is an interesting one, right? I mean, the zone going even further south here. It's not a common circle, that's for sure, right? Yeah. So teams are going to have to really make some adjustments, find a great spot, and just hold it down here. Because as of right now, there's still quite a few teams not in this next zone. So, and then look at that, that unfortunate rotation right there. Unlucky.
Well, it happens. It's Miramar. It happens to the best of us. Now, the Murado's the one that, you know, it's notorious for that on this map. I like the buggy and the bus on this map, but right now the zone shift's going to happen. It goes kind of back north towards Los Leones. Fan club is sitting dead center with Blue Tiam, 412, and Saturn kind of circling around it. But YKG now making the rotate on the sweat side. We're going to have to see Black Mamba as well coming from the east. Possibility of getting a drop, and I can't stress it enough. I think drops in tournament play get ignored too much because I think maybe people are too scared to make the rotate for it. And a player that I actually used to talk about it a lot with was Beowulf. You know, when he had retired, we had asked him questions and stuff like that, and it was, you know, what do you feel about drops? He's like, oh, I would just rotate to it because everyone was so scared of going to it, of it being camped. He's like, I would just take a buggy, and he actually preferred when he IGL'd if he was the first one thirsted on his squad, because he felt he could IGL better from the team's perspectives. And some IGLs prefer being in the game. They get a read of the map better. Some people prefer, you know, maybe just unfortunately being eliminated and being able to provide your team that information from their point of view when you can't see it yourself. So interesting stuff to talk about. The drop thing is a little bit of whatever to me, but I think it's just a missed opportunity for some of these squads.
Yeah, to comment on that, I did agree with that, but I don't think I agree with it anymore. Unfortunately, you know, with one of the recent updates, the spectator mode in competitive is just not what it used to be. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so back in the day, you know, when Bayo was playing, you know, like if you got eliminated, you could see everything, right? You could still see players. You could help give call-outs. You know, back when I was playing, I remember I had a player who on my team who got thirsted so early on in one of the most clutch matches that we needed to just go crazy if we wanted to qualify, right? And he was so sad and depressed. I said, hey, man, your job's not done, right? We had one player who was a little shy. I was like, you are going to spectate that player, and you make all the call-outs for him. I don't even want him to speak. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, you make all the call-outs. He doesn't speak. All he does is shoot, right? And we were able to win that game, and that's how our whole career got started, right? But which was so great, and I love that, you know. But they changed it to make things a little bit. They're trying to make things a little bit more fair, you know, make some adjustments in case there's some shenanigans going on. So now it's hard to see players or even spectate players, right? Because you can't even see enemies anymore. So it's really hard to spectate, unfortunately, after being finished. This is tough. I wish they went back to
Yeah,
it.
well, yeah, I like it a lot, and the spectator client stuff. It's always, I think you made an amazing point of, your job's not done. Even when you're eliminated, you could be looking at the map, you could be marking stuff on the map. They added that trail system. A
Oh
few
yeah.
updates ago, maybe even over a year ago, you could be marking multiple teams with that, showing positions, maybe spreads, and some of these players maybe think that I'm eliminated, I'm over it. Like maybe just some sort of mental boom, but the good teams are able to, even if you're eliminated, you're going to keep playing. You're going to be 100% focused, and you're going to give teams, your team the clogs they need. Now, the zone shift that happens, as we were talking about that, Old Gangsters picking up an elimination onto a white KG player, down to just 3 now. See a little bit of the match ranking on the right there. Only a few eliminations this match, Jukes. Not a lot of early game deaths like we saw in the first two days of PMCO qualifiers.
We got to agree here. Let's see. Yeah, not a lot as well. And I'm pretty excited to see that, right? Because we should be seeing like 15 teams alive in stage 5 or 6. That's what makes things a lot harder, right? And it makes you more disciplined in when to take shots and fights too. Because if you just take the wrong engagement, you're third party and you're done for. So you can just see right now, Gangsters get that knock. I'm pretty sure they're going to start pushing this because this is a team that is not shy when it comes to aggression.
Yeah, it looks like 412 is just on the other side of the ridge as well to the north. Actually, Baton already up the hill, going for a little bit of a sandwich play on the 21st Century. But Old Gangsters, I don't know that they know that 21st Century is the team to their east. They're not the team on their north side, so they might actually be able to get sandwiched. 21st Century now opting to sort of get a little bit of Overwatch and cross the road. But I'm also seeing other teams in the area out of zone on the south. We were just talking about it, stage 3 to 4. These early engagements could maybe be ignored, but some of these teams are starting to take the engagements out, and I'm not liking what I'm seeing. Joey eliminated now by Level X, who they caught off earlier. Chris now getting knocked and thirsted as well, and we're looking at 4 or 5 different teams congested on the south side of the map.
Congested is the right word, and you can see Baton just ready to pop off like crazy. Baton's just a ridiculous player for this team. We saw him soak up some crazy points. Level X! Ugh! Going out early is going to be brutal for them.
Yeah, like 1 elimination point. At least they put something on the board. It was showing 0 when we saw the team stats for the Miramar matches. But YKG is the other team that, they're needing to perform. So they have 2 players, I believe, thirsted now in the squad. Maybe even a third. See him 24K is the player that's all the way to the south, out of zone.
Shots.
But Baton is 400 damage total already. It's not like we've really even seen much out of that squad. It's just he's hitting shots while people are rotating, while people are stopping, and he's about to hit this frag grenade, I think. Oh,
ooh,
just
close.
misses it. He's got another though.
That looks
Throws
good.
it.
Misses.
Ooh.
That's hard to throw nades
passed,
there,
but
right? Yeah, those hills are so difficult. Oh, never mind. Not
Hey,
if you're
Lim.
limb. If you're limb, easy money.
Yeah, and I mean, Kidu, he's got the 600 damage mark as well, just patched it in front of Baton for damage on the match, but you have 1 teammate knocked already. You're needing to put the pieces together because 412 now, they've opted to leave the compound and start really aggressing on the OG and pressuring the sort of, re-knock potential.
Oh boy, oh boy. What's gonna happen here? Let's see. As Baton, yeah, this should be an easy wipe for him. I'm telling you, 412, they know how to take on fights. Look at that. Master getting knocked here, Alim. They got to start being a little bit careful, though, right? They got to start focusing on their backs, and I think Alim made the call, right? Just saying, hey, guys, I know we're trying to focus on fights inwards, but let's take out OG first.
Yeah, I mean, they've already got 5 total eliminations themselves. They did pick up the 1, ISO'd player on OG, and look at this. I mean, you can't even peek over without getting baited. Maybe the nade knock from Alim again, just doing everything. And oh my goodness, he almost got the double run over.
Wow.
A little bit of a spray, cleans it up, and 7 elimination points. I think all of that was either on 21st Century and, OG. The squads that were fighting originally just cleaned up by 1 dominant squad. And unfortunately, they get a trade knock from Master Jin, but not going to get thirsted. And as we see too, C4, one of those teams that's kind of in the contention of the top 8 already. They're in that 4th, 5th spot, taking an engagement with T4L.
4-1-2 Nomads popping off like crazy right now. It's insane. 7 eliminations. The entire squad out there like, hey, yeah, YKG, you're trying to catch up to us? No, sir. YKG only with 1. And 3 players knocked is going to be so tough here. As Toxic for Life looking to soak up some more points against C4. So, man, I'll tell you what, this 4-1-2 team, consistency. That's what's putting them a cut above YKG and the rest of these lobby.
Yeah, I mean, they already had an immense amount of respect for me just from the first 2 days of performance. They're like, hey, it's not just 2 days, we're doing it 3 days now. And then hopefully, they have the mindset of, let's bring that into the PMCO Grand Finals afterwards, because they've for sure made it in my book. It's the lower teams near that 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th position that, are wanting that ticket into the next stage. But these teams now slowing down a little bit. 4-1-2 had left their compound earlier on to take on those engagements, so they're able to just go right back into it. No third-party potential from their back, and some of these teams are in a little bit of rough spots. TF4 is 3-man. They had lost that player early on from their engagement with TM earlier on, and now it's just everyone's starting to kind of look at them.
Everyone's looking their way right now. So, man, I'll tell you what, it's so crazy to see how these teams are performing. Again, we're trying to see which teams are going to make it to top 8, which team's going to get first place. Right now, we know that 4-1-2 is going to make that lead once again. And by how many, right? Could they have a 22 elimination chicken dinner right here now? Especially with YKG hurt and the rest of the lobby up? It's possible.
Oh, yeah. I mean, these other teams that do have the points are needing it. They have, we see a few teams with 5 eliminations. Black Mamba obviously has 2, but they're 4 up. So it's definitely a potential for them to get it in. I think it's a matter of how these next zone shifts happen and how they react to it. A lot of this game is, reacting to certain plays and decisions that not only yourself makes, but what the game chooses to give you and what those other players choose to do on the other team. So going to like to see it from them. They've already been reading it well. There's a reason why they're in first, because their decision-making is above all else with a lot of these teams. And, it's just, they're just putting on a clinic right now. Some of these teams, we saw YKG last match drop to 22, but they're doing it consistently every single game. And you don't just see that every day.
Dude, you definitely do not. So here comes the next circle. It's going to center up here. Nobody's in it right now. And I'm happy to see 4-1-2 not, because they're doing so well by just holding these edges and just soaking up points like crazy. And not to mention, you got Jerway's fan club. They were one of the teams that was on that cutoff, right? That needed to put some points to set themselves above the rest. Yeah, so Jerway's fan club really needs to avoid 4-1-2, I think, at all costs if they can.
Yeah, and I mean, they have a player knocked on the other side of the road. Looks like they will be able to get the reset, but look at this. We're seeing engagements on this far north side of the zone. Jerway's fan club is the team in zone that could farm all these squads on the outside. They're all going to be, I'm not seeing really anything other than a tractor maybe that a team could work in for and play. So Blue Tiam, T4L, TF4, C4 even, the solo player, all having to make this sort of rotate into Jerway's fan club, a team that I feel could hit the elimination shots, get those sort of thirst down, and possibly, contend for winning the match for Miramar.
All right, well, let's see if they could do it, right? Can they make that contention happen? As we're seeing Blue Tiam try to make some rotations. Meanwhile, yeah, you can see them on that edge, just trying to get some information. And this could be a good chance for them to get that third party going right next to them. At the same time, they need to prioritize circles, so I would rather see them just hold that edge and try to maybe out-rotate them and gatekeep those teams on that edge. But we'll see what they decide to do here. As Toxic for Life is going to get that smoke going and full sit it on in. They can't go too far, though. They got to be careful.
Yeah, I mean, Blue Tiam's just above them right now at a shack. It's a little bit of a send buggy play. Yep. One of them does make it to the hay bale, though. Can possibly get a smoke down for it, but Blue Tiam is beaming, and I think that's all wiped on him. Nope. Yep, it is actually 6 eliminations for Toxic for Life. Thankfully, they did get a few points, but Blue Tiam is in a potential spot as well. They made a good rotate in. Jerway's fan club picking up a little bit of a freebie slam too. Hopefully they can get the reset off on a sleigh, but some of these teams that are on that 6th, 7th, 8th mark making it. Oh my goodness, the send from Black Mamba. They had the opening knock on Slay, and it's just one. Actually, he's sticking the revive. I'm not sure if it's worth it. Not even going to be able to shoot his gun. 2 of them down on Jerway's fan club. A third one as well across the road knock. And this might be another third party from Blue Tian. They rotated.
Brutal.
I think they actually stopped a bit, Jukes, but Black Mamba out of zone. They get the knock, and they send it in, clutching up for the squad.
Oh my gosh, and then look at this, 412 is just soaking up points.
Wow.
Like a sponge right now. I mean, this is crazy. 9 eliminations, and I believe Baton's down. Yeah, so Baton's down. They're doing it without one of their star players, and they're looking good. So let's see what they could do here. You got Black Mamba stuck in the building right here. That building is not as secure as I think a lot of people think. It is really, really tough to hold with that hillside right behind it. Alim gets knocked. And right now you can see Jazzy Boy doing a great job. Oh, hits this.
Oh, miss shot.
Yeah, hits the window ledge. That's tough.
Yeah, now it's a little bit disheartened to see because C4 had slammed Black Mamba. 2 knocks on a Black Mamba, and Blue Tiam decided not to crash the compound. So Black Mamba probably able to get the full reset off here, taking a little bit more time to get Echo up. There he goes. And, I mean, we talked about Baton being eliminated already. Still top damage in the lobby, Juke. So his impact in the game was not minimal. He has done the most for the squad still in these matches. Now, we are seeing Saturn. They were posted up. I'm looking at the map stream right now. Centered up in the zone. Now, one of them does get knocked and eliminated, I think, possibly, from the YKG soul getting found out. There they go. 2 eliminations for YKG. But now it's all about this next zone shift. Where's Blue Tiam going to go? And how is 412 going to react to this fight with Black Mamba?
Yeah, let's see what Black Mamba could do, right? I mean, they're going to be holding this building right now, but at a certain point, you have to let go of it. That's, I think, the thing a lot of these PMCO teams have that inability to do. They get a good spot, and they get so stuck on it. Bobby Triste tries to leave, but the rest of the team isn't there with them, ready to go. Focused on too many different angles. Oh. Wow, double knock. Blue Tiam going to go ahead and get that finish, too. Caprice is just trying to feel himself here. He's got the S12K. Echo better be careful. They're out-angling them. Oh, my gosh. Blue Tiam absolutely destroying Black Mamba right there. That was beautiful.
Yeah, and that wasn't even with all 4. Xenos is still holding this western side, giving faith to his team. But 412 Nomads, they see the fight coming in. They're down to just 2, though, so I don't think they're really going to aggress too much unless they get an opening nade knock. But Blue Tiam now holding the cards in their hand. Now, also Manic, a team that we haven't really seen pop off in the feed, full 4-man on the west side of zone. So we are seeing a lot of these teams that are on that cusp, other than 412, possibly able to get some good placement points here.
This is terrible, though, for Manic because, yeah, I mean, this is great. You know, they're so late in the end zone, but with all 4 up, but they only have 1 elimination. They need to turn on the aggression, like, so bad. They need to wipe this entire lobby if they want to stand a chance. And look at this. Blue Tiam, the confidence is back, baby. You can see they are ready to go because they are just absolutely destroying this lobby. And 412 was looking so good, but now picked apart with only 1 player left.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if you're YKG too, you're kind of, you know, thanking Blue Tiam for some of these plays they're making because they're preventing 412 from getting a lot of elims. Now, that being said, 9 eliminations is nothing to play around with. Saturn finally finding the solo 412 player. 4th place, 9 eliminations. It sort of stops, you know, 412's, I guess, aggression on the lobby, but YKG still falling behind now. We'll have to make note of it, of course, over the last 2 maps. But right now, it's a matter of, you know, Blue Tiam, Saturn Esports, and Manic pulling away with possibly, you know, an additional 5-8 points, depending on the placement and elimination points they get.
100%. Well, let's see what the strategy is going to be. Manic are playing this way too passive for a team that needs 20 points to even think about qualifying. There's a knock there. Full send. Full send. Run forward. Yeah, there you go. Get in that truck. No, don't hesitate. You see, that's what happens. I think that some of these players, you know, they're second guessing themselves here at this high level, you know. You can see the instinct was to go for that truck and push, but instead playing it back. And look at this. Now they're looking in big trouble here. And there goes this truck. Oh, it hurts to see.
Yeah, and I think Blue Tiam has found their stride with some of these plays too, because look at how fast they reacted to that Thurson Jr. They've got essentially 2 knocks down. They have a solo player basically stuck on the edge of zone, and unfortunately for all these teams, they're all playing these ridges on the edge. Ooh, little bit of a full send play and a nice nade, but unfortunately, this is stage 9, Jukes. It's circling, it's closing dead to the center, and all these teams are basically on this little edge part of the mountain. So we'll have to wait and see who's able to get to the center of it, because Saturn right now, in my eyes, has the best position to win this game.
And they need to, because they're one of those teams that was right on that cutoff for 8th place, right? So they were definitely one of the squads that need to put some points on the board so they can create that separation and guarantee their placement into the PMCO Grand Finals. So all these squads desperately need those points. And Blue Tian with a nice knock, but gets returned there by Saturn. And like you mentioned, Saturn have so much room and a great position here with this little hill that they're able to get this reset off. They don't want to play it too close together, though. They got to be a little bit careful. Yeah, protect that buggy at all costs, because you may just need it. Meanwhile, let's see what happened with Manic. Manic on the other end. Still playing it way too passive for my liking. But here we go. It is a 3v3 between Manic and Saturn.
And I think your smokes are going to be worth its weight in gold here. You only have Darwin that's kind of able to get into the center zone, but the thrown play by Howdy gets caught out. Immediately thirsted 3v2 situation. And I think if you're Saturn, you just kind of relax. Let Darwin do his thing at the bottom of the mountain. We're seeing the utility come out. Still, they have frag grenades. One of them does make it down the mountain to get the elimination. 1v3 situation. You know where he's at. He's somewhere on a vehicle in the smoke. And I think he might have actually sent it down too far away. Never mind. He got one and his teammate clutches up. Saturn Esports, a team that was on that cusp of top 8, in my eyes now shooting their way up. A desperately needed game. Now Manic obviously needing the points themselves, but Saturn able to one-up them in every regard.
Yeah, I mean, Manic just a little bit too passive. You know, I'm glad they were able to get to an end game. That's great. You know, I think it's going to help them out overall. I think they're going to learn a lot here. And hopefully we can see them, right, you know, just improve as time goes on. Because we all got to start somewhere. And I'll tell you what, jumping into competitive PUBG Mobile is not an easy thing to do. But, hey, props for them even making it this far. So, yeah, I would have loved to see them just turn things up. And you can see their instincts, right? I can just tell by a player's movement. The second he got that knock, he wanted to go for that push. But that hesitation. And I'll tell you what, at this high level, even just at PMCO, I'm not even talking about future tournaments, that slight hesitation, you're done for.
Yeah, and I mean, it costed it for him. It's a lot of just kind of this David versus Goliath story of, you know, you're nothing and you're having to turn into something against these people that have already proven themselves, whether it's, you know, just in PMCO or PMPL or even America. I mean, obviously it's against YKG and stuff like that. There's these namesake teams that, you know, just them being in the lobby is a presence itself that puts pressure on these teams. And Manic, I can't say it better than what you did. You know, the hesitation really costed them there. I wanted to see them, you know, go for this sort of, you know, full send aggression play on that knock, but really just unfortunate to see. But, you know, seeing them get top 2 there, it's progress. It's them moving forward. And even though maybe it's a little bit too late for them to make that top 8, they come back next time for the next PMCO, maybe they're able to change the way that happens. So would love to see them come back. It's all about, you know, starting somewhere and growing from it. And even if your growing's less than others, it's still something.
100%. Well, speaking of something, look at that. Saturn with 17 points, Blue Tian with 13. The Nomads getting a big 13. That's a huge storyline right there because they pull out a baker's dozen, and YKG only with 4. Remember, these guys were tied right before this game, so it's definitely going to come down to the wire. My question is this to you. If you're YKG, I understand you playing your game on this one, but now that they have a lead, is it hot drop time? It's Sandhawk coming up next. Oh, it's going to be a hard decision.
Sandhawk, I think it's the map to do it. If you're really thinking of dropping on someone, you're already going to, if you don't get the zone, in my eyes, on Sandhawk in the later parts, you're going for those elimination points. So why not just say, you know, screw it. We're going for that 4v4 fight. We're confident in the gun skill. And we've seen it, you know, maybe if YKG instantly knocks Baton, they'd have a good chance because Baton has been the star player tonight. There's obviously a few players that come to mind on YKG, but the player that's put up top damage 2 games in a row, essentially, is on the same team as the same player. Now, unfortunately, for some of these teams at the bottom, I'm not sure what they could be doing at this point. C4, you know, they're in that contention from their first 2 days of play, but today's looking pretty rough from them. Jerway's fan club as well. That cusp team that was in that 8th slot eliminated early, Jukes. So if you're in their position, Jukes, what are you thinking they need to do as a squad that's in that 8th, 9th, 10th place position?
It's time to clutch, baby. it's time to go insane, right? You know, get that Super Saiyan just going and put up some crazy elimination points because it's now or never. It's now or never. You want to make those dreams come true, you got to do it here and now. Guys, we're going to be right back after this break. 2 more games left to go. Don't go anywhere. Sandhawk. Let's go, baby. This is where it comes down to. It's going to be crazy. I'm Hot Jukes here with Enigma. The final 2 matches here of the PUBG Mobile Club Open. Last chance qualifiers. Top 8 moving it on to the grand finals for PMCO. And the rest is going to have to stay home and try again in the next split. So, man, it's crazy to think about because we got first place in contention. 412 making a nice lead over YKG. I'd love to get a look at the overalls if we can. That'd be great. So we can kind of see where everybody is at. But I'm telling you, Enigma, this is going to be one heck of a show here with the last 2 matches.
Yeah, I mean, some of these teams, unfortunately, in my eyes, I'd like to see it as teams near the bottom popping off. But right now, it's YKG, and 412 Nomads taking up all the points and up all the glory. It's a little bit of, I want to see them kind of get counteracted, maybe like just prevented from reaching some of these spots. But 412's Edge zone, they're playing a split, they get the right zone shift, and then it's just 8 eliminations on baton. So some of these players need to be stopped if you're one of these lower teams trying to accumulate some elimination points.
100%, man. This is going to be crazy because those elimination points are so important right here. And Sandhawk is just, honestly, it's that RNG map, in my opinion, right? It's so difficult to be consistent on this one here. So, I think if you're YKG, you're going to have to stop 4-1-2 at this point, right? Like, you were able to outperform them like crazy in match number 1, but that's not guaranteed. And they're so consistent, 4-1-2. That's why we see them at the top of the leaderboards, is that, yeah, YKG has these nuts, just, nuclear games, but then they go out with only 1 elimination, right? Or some things like that. So it's crazy. It's crazy to think about. I think, yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a little bit of an awkward spot because 4-1-2 is just, I would picture it as YKG being in their position of consistency, whether it's eliminations or placements or how they're playing the maps, and we're seeing them late game. But 4-1-2 is just, showing, hey, like, just because you're playing as your 4-man, you made Americas, we're still here to compete against you. And we just talked about it off screen, a bit with competition and stuff like that. Bringing in these new teams like that, whether it's, international talent or, maybe just some hidden gems in NA, this is what we need for our region to get better. And it's apparent that some of these teams are willing to put in that effort.
Yeah, got to be able to put in that effort, and you got to just be able to clutch it up. And we saw some of that clutch factor from YKG, right, in match number 1, and then, boom, falling off here in 2 is going to make things really difficult for them. So match 3 is going to be interesting because, a team like Manic, after getting a really big opportunity, right, and not being able to really close it out, I think at this point they have to know it's over, right? They have to know it is completely all over there. But here we go, match number 3. We get to see the live ranking. Here we go. That's what I wanted to take a look at here.
Nice.
As the cutoff is now 48 points. That game from Saturn rocket launched them. So now it is really just Jerway's fan club that is in trouble here. And for the rest of the teams, even teams like Level X, Four Brothers, all those squads, man, do they need to clutch up here in Sandhawk here and now.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're wanting to even pass maybe even Saturn Esports, it's going to be 2 teams, not 1, but 2 of those teams, whether it's going to be the Finest 4 and Twisted Militia, Four Brothers and Level X. It would have to be 2 teams finishing essentially first, second, back-to-back games. And we haven't seen the consistency out of these teams in the last 2 days. It's a reason why they're down near the bottom leaderboard. And Jerway's fan club is a team that, in my eyes, has shown some sort of consistency with elimination points, but they're really needing to, turn up the knob a bit and start really getting up in those 60-point range. Because 48 right now, any team at the bottom could still win a match, especially on Sandhawk. We talk about the RNG map. Some maybe you just get zone blessed in some compounds or whatever the case may be. You don't want to leave it up to that. You're needing to take the fights to them. You don't want to be the one caught with the short end of the stick on the edge of the zone.
That is for sure. Well, let's see what happens here. Zone's going to go ahead and center right up in the center, so no big deal here. Unfortunate for those teams like Saturn, but they don't really matter anymore. They clutched it up, I think, enough to be very, very secure. Meanwhile, look at this, OG, and we're going to see another hot drop here in boot camp. We missed it yesterday, but we definitely had one in game 1. Day 1, sorry. And now at day 3, a little bit of a run back.
Yeah, and Old Gangsters is the team on the first day. They were the third-party team that was kind of outside of this lobster building. Now they've opted to push into the building. They know it's just a 4v4 fight. And with it being against Twisted Militia, this is the 10th place team going against the 3rd place team, Juke. So if you're Twisted Militia, this fight right here could mean you qualifying for PMCO Grand Finals or you really just falling short.
This is huge. This is huge. It's do or die right now for Twisted Militia, 100%. What do you do in this situation? If you were the IGL of Twisted Militia, what would you say? Take this fight? Leave? What do you think?
I think the main thing is getting some sort of information on where Katri's at. He's already got an off angle in the warehouse. If you try doing it yourself, he's going to be able to spot you. They're all kind of congested on this north side of the lobster. Most of them are actually first floor as well. So for my thing, I'd have someone go on the north side, get out of the lobster building in boot camp, and start collecting info on where these OG players are at. Because it's like you said, you could also just split loot and leave. Maybe you were able to rotate all 4-man to the warehouse on the north side of the road. You kind of just rotate around OG and get towards, you play for late game, or you force this fight. You have to figure out where someone's at. I'm not really seeing good util out of some of these players. I see Daku with the frag. Ronnie actually has one as well. So I think it's a matter of if you can find a player without them realizing it, you go for that opening knock.
That nade right there onto Ronnie, I am telling the squad, we're out of here. What are we doing?
Yeah.
This is honestly just the worst situation. I mean, I am 100% leaving. They're just standing still, and you can see OG slowly doing exactly what you kind of mentioned, right? Leaving, getting some intel, moving, doing something, Twisted Militia, this is just worst case scenario. Good for them. This is Sandhawk, so there's actually loot here in this map, which I love to see. You can see, Core off the rip, just with crab building alone, Lobster, was able to go ahead and get some level 3 gear, which is great, but they need to leave, and they need to leave now. Uh-oh, level X. They need to win every point they can get if they want to make it to top 8, and that's against your Waste Fan Club. That's the team that they need to pass up. So, honestly, if you are level X, I'm hunting down the rest of the squad, immediately.
Well, I think they've got an idea of it. We see Krish on this, southern part of this compound is a solo player on Jerway's fan club to the west. Not sure if they've heard it just yet. They're actually driving away, maybe? Maybe they don't know Ricky's here. Ricky could be a huge spoiler, Jukes. If they try rotating up the hill, maybe his teammate even baits some shots. It looks like he's going to get crashed right now, actually. And if I'm Jerway's fan club, I mean, you either snake it out and immediately run away, or you just book it for now. Because there's no way in my eyes that you're going to be able to win this fight. You're too spread out. And Level X, thankfully, has a point on the board for themselves, but it's not you that they want to have. So, Jerway's fan club,
gosh.
maybe they're going to get away from him with Level X. It looks like it now, but Twisted Militia is now forced into this fight with OG.
I'm telling you what. They did take out one of the players from OG, so good for them. Now they have an opportunity to stay and take on this team here. They got to be careful just not to lose anybody in the process. I will say this, though. I don't know what Level X is doing. If I'm Level X here, I am going on full hunt mode. I'm running. Yeah. They need to be searching every building together. Don't go in one at a time. They spotted him.
Oh, wow.
And here they go.
He's 1 HP.
He gets no way. He gets thirsted.
Oh.
Unreal.
Wow. Krish. They did get the other player on the hill as well, and Ricky.
They got him.
Last eliminated, but losing Ultron. He was the one in the vehicle as well, Jukes. He was 1 HP rounding the corner. He even missed the first DBS shot on Thurston. Still got eliminated, so unfortunate for them. But OG now, full-on bloodbath. They did eliminate one. Looks like a 2v3 situation maybe right now against Twisted Militia. Ronnie is on the outside. Gets Daku. It's down to just one now on Old Gangsters. They might be able to get the reset. They actually don't know where he's at, but C4 now, the team that lands Paradise, Jukes, saw in the kill feed early on that they're fighting and is now here for the third-party points.
Oh, this fight took too long, and that's what happens. Is I talked about it before. You got to have that internal timer in your head of when to take a fight and when to leave, and it took so long that C4 said, "Okay, third party, easy. Let's get it."
Yeah, I mean, the pre-fires come in. They're doing a little bit of damage to C4 right now. Wait, that's 3 players knocked. It's a 1v1 situation, Jukes, between him and Ronnie.
Here they go. Ronnie, what are you going to do? Vault windows? So scary. Goes for the res? Ooh,
no
I don't know about
vest
that.
or helmet on him either, by the way. They get the reset.
Oh, man.
M4 versus DBS. He did get the heal off as well. It's a 1v2 situation now. No vest against shotguns.
It's over. Bond's gonna take him out. I don't see him making it out of here alive. He took too long. I was so shocked he went for that res. At a certain point, you gotta know, you gotta push. You have to just push. Yeah, you're probably gonna get eliminated, but now you're 100% gonna get eliminated.
Yeah, and I mean they were even going for the reset there too. C4 did not want to take the chance, and the jump shot itself is all they need. And we're also seeing, too, on the edge of the map, it's not just C4 fighting. It's YKG, I believe, holding a bit of a rat spot against 21st Century, picking off a player. Now, I'm not too sure if they're 4 up on YKG. It seems like it's 3 and 1 knocked. 2 knocked now, but 21st Century now seems to be on the back end because YKG is able to get these resets unless Lux is able to do something about it.
See what the case is going to be here. Lux. Yeah, trying to get that reset. YKG on the push. YKG with 2 eliminations. Nice start off here. They're already getting the lead on the 4-1-2. This is what YKG definitely needs to do, I think, in my opinion. They need to start just getting that aggression back. They need to start pushing, taking out squads early. But they got to be careful, right? They can't do a mistake like we saw earlier from Level X. You know, get the squad wipe, but losing a player for just no reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's 4 players up. YKG in my eyes has a bit more team coordination compared to Level X when it comes to those sorts of fights and stuff like that. But now, if you're 21st century, you see Fiorza trying to make this sort of save play, rotating on the east, but Lux is, I think, just caught out in the compound. He kind of made this rotate a little bit too late. And YKG now inside, a little bit of pre-fire coming out, does do some damage, but an AK and a Vector is not the gun lineup you want. Nice shots from Chico on the off angle. And it's just typical stuff out of the squad, Jukes. Absolutely rolling 21st century. We also see Black Mamba against C4 Esports at, what do you know, boot camp. Now it's the warehouse. We moved out of the Lobster building. Looks like a 3v3 situation. Oh, nice nade from Echo. Huge little pre-nade going on. And he's got another one already cooked. Bond swinging in the open. Might do some damage.
Hurt him.
I think he did. Half HP and...
Oh my gosh, did he catch
hit
him?
a few more.
Got him.
Wow. One-man army right now, Cheeks. 2 knocks on the C4. The squad that went for the third party, all down to sick in a 1v3 situation. And I mean, if you're Black Mamba, this should be an easy squad wipe. Nice little pre-nade going on. Maybe soften him up, but no damage. Oh, wait a second. He got one.
Woo!
A little scary.
Let's go. Black Mamba.
3 points.
That was huge. Not to mention, this was against C4, who was right above them, right? Trying to get a little bit more money on the board. So Black Mamba was in 6th, C4 was in 5th, and that might have just been able to pass them up. So who knows? I mean, Black Mamba, with performance like this, they're able to continue. We may even see them on the hunt for 3rd place. OG needs to watch their backs. And, man, with them being out already, it's gonna they open the door. They left the door open now for teams to catch up to them and steal that 3rd place prize pool.
Yeah, and if we think about it too, you know, obviously Black Mamba has been watching the kill feed, same as C4. They know OGX is out. They know, you know, Twisted Militia's out. You know, all these squads are out there, either landed east or north of you. So your rotation coming into these zones is so much easier. But Level X now, the team that was making the rotates earlier for eliminations, now getting a little bit of a piece apart by 4 bros.
Oh, not even a little bit. That's a lot. That's a whole chunk, man. And it's going to be even worse here because Shadow's going to go down and get ran over. This is the worst case scenario. They had to be careful on this rotation. They should have played it extra safe. Carnage, why? I mean, just shooting just says, hey, take us out. Because, man, this is just worst case scenario. He needs to hit this nade. He needs to hit a clutch nade. He gets one on an angry, but it's just him by himself in the blue zone. Another bounce, might be able to get at least one confirmation. Does he do it? Got him.
He's going for
Beautifully done.
Nice.
So secures
Over
at least
the
1
top.
point. Oh, but goes out in the process. That is tough because they were in 11th place, folks. And they took out the 8th place team, the team that they needed to hunt down. They opened that door big time. But, man, it always makes me think, right, what happens if they had all 4 players up? What could have happened? Ooh, that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, you also have the 4 elimination points early. Like, when are you going to be hitting the switch of, you know, maybe we don't need to go for the eliminations early. Maybe we just, you know, play for the later zones. And we saw it, too, just now. I mean, a lot of these teams taking early game engagements. 4-1-2, the team that has actually been holding a 2-2 split on this hillside and this little shack, dealing with T4F, actually being able to push back against them. They did lose Kax. I'm not sure who swapped out. It looks like Baton maybe wasn't able to play this game.
Oh,
I'm starting to see maybe there's a bit of synergy issues because 4-1-2 now, when Baton's in the lobby, I'm seeing them make a lot more plays happen. Right now, it looks like they're getting pieced apart, Jukes.
Yes, they are. Look at that. Nomads. Go ahead and making some plays here. This is the 4th play, the last place team, the finest 4. Actually, no. The finest 4 is in 9th place. 9th place. They need to survive. They're just right below Drew Waste Fan Club, and they're having to go against the top team in the lobby. This is the worst case scenario for them.
Yeah, I mean, if you're really Nomads as well, if you're watching the kill feed and stuff like that, you know YKG is doing something in this game. If they weren't, then you'd maybe be able to be like, hey, you know, let's just hold the finest 4 out in zone. Let's take the 4 free elimination points, maybe work in as a duo. But now, you know, you don't really have the room like you did before that first match. And after the second match, this third game, you're leaving YKG up to an, oh my goodness, Crow. Sometimes we watch him juice. I think he's just a robot. Because right there, it's just instantly peaks, goes for the knock on Alem and just shut down. Like you gave him, it's like that little bit of faith and you just ripped it out from under him. But going back to the other notion of just, you know, if you're 4-1-2, if YKG wasn't performing so well today, you could maybe just play for a few elims, get 2 or 3 placement points, and you'd be winning that $6,000. But now with YKG, they have 3 elimination points. They haven't really lost any players. They're in a spot to pass you after every single fight you take. So we'll have to wait and see. The zone shifts coming in as well. We also see a few players, most people, since there was early game fighting on the edge of the map, not really sure what's free and what's taken, but the zone shift's happening. He centers directly on the Manic of all teams.
Dude.
Team that's desperately needing the points. Okay, I'm not going to count. You know, I'm not going to take the horse to water just yet, but
they're out.
and 14 Tukes. No.
Out.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. If they're dropping multiple eliminations this game and they win the next one, they're in it. Okay, I'm saying, I'm a Manic fan now. Your disbelief made me want to be a believer.
You're out. Okay, let's see what happens though. Let's see. This is Saturn with a nice little back-to-back performance here. Let's see if they can do it with some nice nades they're throwing out. That's a blind nade. You gotta hold on to that utility, bro, as long as you possibly can. Fears goes down. Chico goes down to the blue zone.
Wow.
Things are not looking good for YKG right after 4-1-2 loses 2 players. So YKG, man, losing half their squad like that immediately after 4-1-2 does the same. I mean, they're not gonna have a good time catching them.
Yeah, I think it is just coming down to these teams need to start recognizing, you know, it says for everyone on the top left, whether you're in game or spectating right now, there's 25 remaining in the lobby. There's been so many early game fights where it hasn't been just clean 4-for-0 trades. Teams have been losing 1 to 2, even 3 players for a squad wipe. That a lot of this map is probably open. If you choose to make, you know, some sort of blue zone rotation, play a little bit of a spot you're not as comfortable with, but it's safe, I think that's worth worth its weight in gold compared to, you know, these decisions of, I think they're just slamming or maybe taking a fight that's not needed.
100%. Let's see what happens here, though, with Manic. You know, there's a team I said that was out. They're running into some Molotovs, not looking good, because Black Mamba is pushing up on them. And because the thing is that Manic, they can't be just chilling here. They need to get aggressive. They need to push. They have to. They have no choice, right? You need to get 20 eliminations. Chicken dinner. Chicken dinner's not going to be good enough here for you.
Yeah, and I mean, Krongi's trying to give some sort of opening for the squad. He might get traded out. Oh, man. Some of these plays are just, you know, a little bit of a half-second sooner peak by unknown, and Black Mamba probably absolutely squad wipes Manic, but Manic still has a bit of an upper advantage on him, but they're still not making the play, and we can see the zone a little bit more now, filled in a bit. 4-1-2 actually getting shot by Manic, and YKG behind him. Some fights on the west side as well. The zone shifts onto the compound, and Four Bros, the team that had wiped out Level X, now needing to use those cars and possibly slam into the Manic compound.
Well, here we go. Yeah, you can see them. Manic just still a big chillin' there. Zone does decide to center up a little bit, but that's not necessarily the best case scenario for a team like Manic, because they're sharing, and they have no business sharing right now. They need to dominate. They have to dominate, because every point that goes away right now is that I'm not even going to call it a real chance, that unbelievable Enigma luck chance. You know what I'm saying?
The Enigma chance. Hey, sharing
it's slipping
is
away,
caring,
bro.
Jukes. That's what I was taught. Sharing is caring. Now, I wouldn't do it in this game, but, you know, maybe they live by that standard, tooth and nail. But T4L now taking the fight with Fantasy. A little bit of a 1v2 situation. Gets one of them with the DBS. Full HP still. 3 vests as well on him. Maybe 1 DBS shot from the other T4L player won't be enough, but Lassie actually deciding to pull a frag out, forcing the 1v1 on Fantasy. I like this idea. He doesn't have the time to play around with. He also has a buggy if he gets this elimination onto him. It's a matter of if he's able to hit the shots in time. Oh, and there we go. He gets the one. Nice win from Fantasy. Oh, but the buggy, no! Turn around!
Zeus!
Not like this, Jukes. Not
Oh
like
my
this,
goodness.
Jukes. He made the
Unreal.
play,
Toxic for life.
and then didn't.
You hate to see it. Hate to see it for these teams, man. 4-1-2 still alive. YKG down with one player. It's going to come down to the last game to see who's going to win first place. It's going to come down to the last game, guys. There's no clear-cut winner here. There's no clear-cut team that's going to be in the top 8 because Gervais fan club left early. There's still quite a few teams still remaining here. And, you know, Manic losing 2 players. It's all she wrote.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, I'll give him a bone at some point. You know, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, Chase, because that's, you know, maybe that's all they have at this point. Maybe they're able to pull the mental back and at least maybe finish off with a solid game. I understand that you're out of the competition essentially for the top 8, but, you know, hey, let's try to save mental, build that mental fortitude, I guess you could say, of, you know, being able to compete and stuff like that. But now it's a matter of, you know, who's going to be winning this match. I'm seeing Blue Tiam holding a pretty nice little spot on that upper west side of the zone. But Black Mamba, most players in the lobby, and they're tied with the most elimination points with 4-1-2 Nomads.
Well, let's see what happens here. Let's see what happens, Captain. Meanwhile, Toxic for Life, last player up. Oh, he got spotted there. Nice little spot there from Blue Tiam. Klein, goodness gracious, got them eagle eyes on.
4 elims, all of them on his back. Now, Twix, you know, I think they have an idea that 24K is in this compound, but still only stage 6. It's not like he has to move just yet. It's not like most of these teams have to move just yet with all the early game fighting. It's a matter of what, you know, that zone 7 and 8 does, where, you know, are you going to have to be fighting at the compound or are you going to be fighting on the ridge? So we'll have to wait and see. Of course, it's a little bit of a stalemate, Jukes. I'm still a little irritated, though, about you not giving faith to Manic.
That was gone, dude. That was
here.
gone.
No.
It was gone after the last game. Because honestly, if I would have seen them turn up the aggression and didn't see so much hesitation, even then and there, because the door was open, right? They could have gotten, you know, maybe a 10 elimination chicken dinner with that position that they had, but they weren't able to capitalize on it. And in such a terrible way, because I think they only had a couple eliminations and didn't even win the game. So after seeing that, I was like, even though they have such a big blessing here in Sandhawk, it's just hard to think that they were able to capitalize it. Would I have loved to have been proved wrong? Yes, and it's just unfortunate that it's not going to happen here. But hopefully we can see more from Manic in the future.
Yeah, I mean, Manic themselves, they've proven at some points where, you know, they're able to keep their squad up to 4 for the most part, you know, in that zone 3-4 change. But after that, the late game starts to really see the faults in their stars of, you know, we're not really taking the aggression that we need. And Forbos, the team that has Leon telling them, you know, exactly what to do. Actually, he's not playing, but taking the aggression to Manic, having to vault maybe into the window. One of them still holding Overwatch. Doesn't have much time. That's 12 versus the M249 gets beamed. And Krogi on that far west side of the compound since the very beginning gets Megatron on the cross. So good save from him. Unfortunately, it's going to be down just to Korongi now on this west side. And Black Mamba starting to piece some shots together at all these other squads in zone.
And here he goes on the run, trying to make some sick plays if he could do it. But man, this is starting to look a little bit brutal here on this side of the map. As Unknown's looking to take some shots down range too. Nomad still in the mix here, man. Oh, these guys, I'm telling you, the consistency is just insane.
Yeah, and I mean, they have the vehicles. They're a 2-man squad that's a force to be reckoned with, and they've really kind of just worked in on this spot of the map that teams have ignored. The Crow's not going to be ignoring anything anymore with a beam like that. Black Mamba, Jazzy Boy, the player that probably had the most crucial position coming out of a compound. You're the player that is helping your team get out. You're already out. You don't have to do much, but the overpeak. Unknown now, though, forcing the 1v1. He's feeling himself. Maybe he doesn't do anything. Crow wins it. 1v1 situation. Oh, here we go. The Molly. Oh, he's going to go for the reset. I like this play. Make it a 2v2 situation. And look at that. Full 3 gear on him.
Crow's a robot. I'm telling you. He's going to go for the res? No. See, he has that understanding. He knows, like, hey, I got to heal myself up first. And then if I'm going to go for a res, I can do it then. But you know what? Let me get a quick little elimination, you know? No big deal. He understands this game so well The awareness is ridiculous. Like, hey, you know what? I could have gone for the res, but just with the timing and what I have here, I can't do it. I'm going to have to win this game by myself. Can 4-1-2 clutch up.
Nade.
The 1v2, the nade is
Wow.
so good onto Echo. He is so hurt. This nade could do it. Oh my gosh. One more.
3 more.
He's got 3 nades. He's going to win it with nades.
More. Oh, this is big. I mean, Echo is 1 HP. He gets him
He's got to hit
again.
one.
He's got another nade out. I mean,
DBS.
Goes for the peak.
Oh,
Man. So close, Cheeks. Black Mamba, though, with the win. They had the slam on the compound. They were able to make the push out from there into 4-1-2 nomads. But Crow, I mean, you got to give it to him. If that nade onto Eco actually knocked instead of leaving basically a blank HP bar, I mean, I see him winning that 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah, man, that was so close. I mean, and those nades were just a little bit off the mark, it just hurts to see, but a great effort regardless. And honestly, it could have been enough. It could have been a $6,000 play there, but who knows, right? We still have one more left to go. They are definitely going to have a nice little lead onto YKG, but we've seen YKG before do plenty of these like nuclear games. Can they do it in the last one? That's going to be the big question, because now we know for a fact there's a lot of teams that have no chance, right? What are they going to do? There's so many question marks coming into this last match here, the PMCO last chance qualifiers.
Yeah, and for me, I'm going to obviously be focusing on, that 6th, 7th, 8th place positions with the 9th through 12th, level X and stuff like that. They still are one game away in my eyes. Maybe not anymore. We'd have to get the live rankings after all this stuff. But for the first place spot, YKG, we're going into Erangel on the last map. And we just saw what they did today. Their Erangel is immaculate. I think in my eyes, it's going to be a matter of where the zone kind of ends in these games. Because some of the matches, you don't really farm too many elimination points off of certain zones. Let's say it ends Pachinki or something. Everyone's going to be eliminating each other on the edge of the zones. But if it's a zone like shooting range again, or maybe melee-based stuff like that, if they're able to hold people, find those early engagements, I could see them dropping another nuclear game.
Oh my goodness, it's totally possible. Look at this last play. Crow, I would have liked to see him throw that nade just a little bit more to the left, but he didn't want to expose himself. So, I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes you just miss nades, At the end of the day, still put up some solid points. 13 on the board. Actually, YKG put up 11? Okay.
6 eliminations on them.
That's so close. Oh, baby. Black Mamba putting up some nice points. Manic putting up 7. Got to give some shout-outs to them, too. Very nice. Level X put up 5. And, man, that's got to hurt because they did take out Your Ways Fan Club. It was like almost a Cinderella story, but they got taken out immediately after. That just hurt. That is so brutal. 4 Bros finally put some points on the board, but it's going to come down to the last game to see if they qualify as well.
Yeah, I mean, the issue is just these teams that are needing the points are all getting the same amount. When the other teams do decent, like 4 Brothers, Level X, Blue Teams, a little bit more up there. But Manic, a team that's pulling more points than you, that essentially has no contention of it, is essentially just taking points away that you could have gone in that match. And there are some other people on the latter half of the scoreboard, and we see it in a sec. Those people as well, they have some elimination points like C4, Twisted Militia, some of these teams that are either, on the cusp or teams that have already qualified, soaking up the points of the teams that actually need them. Jerway's Fan Club, just 1 elimination. It's really tough to see. They were that borderline team. I don't think they're going to be holding it anymore, Jukes, for the overall. But in my eyes, if I'm coming into these games, Jukes, I'm not too sure what to expect from my teammates.
Me neither. Oh my goodness. There's one game left to go, folks. I hope you guys are so excited. Make sure you use that hashtag PMCO. Who you think is going to win that first place, that $6,000? Is it going to be 4-1-2? Is it going to be YKG? And who's making it in the top 8? We're about to find out in a little bit. Don't go nowhere. go. Final match here of the PUBG Mobile Club Open last chance qualifiers. I'm Hot Jukes here with my brother Enigma. Bro, this is getting insane. There's so much stuff to cover, right? Who's going to make it the top 8? Who's going to get first place? And it's all going to happen here in Erangel, dude. Oh, it's been a big ride here so far, brother.
Yeah, I mean, the ride itself is big for a lot of these players, too. For me, it's one thing with, picking up casting and stuff like that, but for competing, the amount of hours that these people have put in, that have put into the grinding, whether it's scrims or community tournaments like Titan Series and stuff like that, it all comes down to this. Can you perform on the official stage? And some of these teams, unfortunately, haven't. Some of the teams have met the standards, such as YKG and 412 Nomads, and some of them have been a little bit of dark horses, like Old Gangster. So I'm happy to see how this tournament's played out. Obviously, we still have more with PMCO Grand Finals after this stuff. But for the last chance qualifiers, it's all coming down to the last match. And it's Erangel. Everyone knows this map, whether you've played it, a few years ago or you played it last week. The map hasn't really changed much, and most of these people know the ins and outs of it. So I'm interested to see how this last match plays out for these teams.
Well, I'm interested as well. Let's see what happens here as we're going to find out who is going to make it on over to the PMCO Grand Finals. Happens right here in Erangel, and we can see the live rankings. Alrighty then. We got 11-point difference from YKG and Nomads. That's a big gap. A big gap. Now, that gap and more was covered in game number 1, right? So YKG could do it, but I'll tell you what, it's going to be hard because the last game, all those points, I mean, how many teams are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams need to put up crazy elimination points if they want to make it into top 8.
Yeah, I mean, Saturn Esports and everyone above that, on that 7th place mark, essentially have guaranteed their spot. I'm not going to discredit their work that they've put in, but if you're Sureways fan club, 3-point gap between the finest 4, and it goes down essentially to, I wouldn't really say Manic, but maybe Manic, even Toxic for Life. That's only a 15-point game. If you win, that's 10 of them. Few elimination points. Let's say Jerway's fan club gets eliminated early, but hey, look at that. Might be another shooting range finish. Maybe a little bit of a repeat of last game. Hopefully some teams choose to steer clear of YKG because that was a little bit of a dominant performance, to say the least, on that first match of the day.
Yeah, you said it right. I mean, a little bit of a dominant performance. Definitely an understatement. Oh, this is going to get intense, guys, because with this last game, YKG having such a big gap, they need to start pushing people like crazy. I don't want to see them just kind of just chill and just do what we've seen all tournament long, right? They got to do this exact same push because this is good for them in the sense that all they have to do is the same thing they did in game number 1. It's the same playing path, the same circle, right? So they know what they need to do. The problem is they're going to have to do that with 412, with having a nice gap, and a lot of teams now at the end of their rope going to have to clutch it up.
Yeah, and the issue is just finding those elimination ones, because if you're at the end of your rope and you're only down to 1 or 2 players, maybe you're Manic, those teams that are at the very bottom, what's to say that they don't just fight each other and, kind of wipe each other out early on? These teams that are needing the elimination points might try to find it early on. We've seen them being a lot more passive in the last few days, but today is the time where I think you could just be a full 180 on the game sense. It's going to be a lot of just teams forcing fights. We can't hesitate. This is our chance to do it. It's just a matter of other teams have the same idea. So we'll wait and see. Obviously, it's the first zone. This is one of those spots, Jukes. We talk about contesting hot drops and stuff like that. This is one of those spots you could split. Now, I'm not too sure if Toxic for Life is going to, want that to be a thing, but I would enjoy it. Yeah, it's nice that, enough of a spot for people to loot, and the amount of loot in here is pretty insane with all the apartment buildings.
100%, yeah. So let's see what the play is going to be. Toxic for Life. Yeah, team at the bottom, no chance at this point. They need to do, they're behind 20 points? Yeah, 20 points. So that's if Jerway Fan Clubs does nothing, and neither of the teams below them. So honestly, if you're Toxic for Life, you just need to be pushing. Like, you can't even just be sitting here. Yep. You got to go crazy.
Got to go for it. And, I mean, he doesn't really have much ammo either. We're watching Zeus right now. Scar with an S12K. We are seeing some other people make the rotates, though, right now. Level X, the team that we've seen them have some, a little bit of bright moments, but most of it has just been pretty disappointing to say the least. They have been a team that's been around for quite a while, at least the name Level X and Carnage and that sort of stuff. So it's a little disappointing in my eyes to see a team like this, be faltering so much. But that also might be, this newer competition that's coming in, Jukes, is starting to show that, hey, you need to keep putting in the work. What you've done previously, it needs to be raised the bar up one bit. And Level X is, I think this is a huge moment for them mentally to determine, are you going to really want to keep competing, or is this maybe not your game? I would obviously like to see them stay. Everyone is able to play competitive, and I like seeing people take that initiative and learn, because at the end of the day, it's a game. Everyone enjoys playing the game, but it's competitive. You're going to have to at some point look to improve, maybe even if you have to say the wrong things to your teammates.
Sometimes you got to force that improvement, eh? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Force it. Hey,
what
get
happens.
in there, get on the training room, whatever the case
Get
may
in
be.
there. Yeah. You know what? I mean, that's the hard part, is because, when you play a game like PUBG Mobile, it's a 4-man team. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's even 5 if you have a sub, or even more. And, you have to have your team like a brotherhood. And it's hard here in North America compared to a lot of other regions. They get a lot more support from organizations and things like that. Because, a lot of these times it's just kids. It's just, some people that are just friends looking to kind of get started. And that's where I got started. A lot of other players did as well.
Yeah.
And you got to realize how behind the 8 ball you are compared to a lot of these other, teams, orgs, regions. Because you have to have your teammates like brothers. You got to be just a straight brotherhood, sisterhood, depending on who you got in your on your squad. And I'll tell you what, like, you have to be so open with each other, talk to each other, and say, hey, you know what, this is where I think you're going wrong. Let's work on it, and be honest, because you can't have an ego here at this level. You got to be able to make those adjustments. And, the big advantage a lot of these other regions have is, when you have org support, they put the entire team together in one gaming house. They take care of the room, board. They have trainers for, they have physical trainers out there. They have nutritionists. And, when you live together, you have to face each other. You know what I'm saying? You have to face each other and say, hey, man, like, this is wrong, and that. You can't just, have, just talking some smack and just be mean on over Discord. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to face those teammates.
Yeah, I mean, the perfect example for that would be an international team like NGX, like Coops, an NA superstar. He started from nothing, he came up, he proved himself, and then he was able to have the opportunity of going, international, playing with a team like NGX. He's set up in a gaming house, and I've seen it too. We also have a few players like Spec and J7. There's a lot of people in our region that have proven that they're able, get that support they need. I would like to see more people strive to reach that point. I just think that maybe some of these people can't really imagine it themselves. Maybe it's too far. Maybe they just don't really picture how it works out. But hopefully, with some of these new talents coming in, that they're able to be, guided maybe from the older players of, hey, this is a possibility. You could make this happen. You could be going, across the world and playing video games. As crazy as it might sound to some people, that's the reality we're at right now. And this is the starting point. PMCO. I started at PMCO, just a random Discord message to a manager from the old Space Station Gaming Scrim server. That's exactly where I started. And from there, it's a matter of, finding talent, finding heads that have the same mentality of you and wanting to improve. So hopefully some of these teams, I think a few of them have proven it, like Blue Tiam, Old Gangsters. They have, a grasp of that, maybe like a little sliver of it. And hopefully they're able to run with it from there.
Yeah, and you know what? It's crazy because, not to mention, you got a lot of these players that have full-time jobs, They have other goals, they have school, they have dreams. You know what that's like. I remember you had some teammates that couldn't make it because they had school,
Yeah. I mean, XSET, EFC, it was always, a thing. And I was always someone that was, just let me know. I'll make it work. And it allowed them to, have a little bit less stress of, that they already feel when playing and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, for me, it was being able to, stay friends with these people while being able to compete at a high level.
Yeah, you know what? And not to mention, you also, sometimes your family ain't too happy with you leaving the world. I remember talking to Coops, and, I remember hearing that, hey, Mama Coops wasn't too happy about him leaving, her baby boy leaving and living with some other gamers across the country, but you know,
Yeah.
she was able to recognize the opportunity. You know, his dad as well, and now the dude's being able to live his dream, and it is a dream. That is for sure. Not very many people
Yeah.
in the world get to play video games for a living, and big shout out to PUBG Mobile to be able to give that opportunity to so many players, and I'm gonna include myself in that one. I mean, man, my life has changed
Yeah.
so much from putting my hands on this game, and a lot of these players are looking to do that same thing here, Enigma, and you know, Manic, unfortunately, losing 2 players on Toxic for Life are now out and dusted. This is kind of my fear too, because sometimes you have teams that don't realize they don't have anything left to lose. So they're just like, hey, you know what? Let's just get this over with. Let's just push and go out.
Yeah.
And that makes the amount of eliminations left available for those teams that need it so much less.
Yeah, and I mean, it does free up the space a little bit for some of these teams that have a standard way of play. Let's say, you know, YKG and 412 Nomads. If there's less teams in the lobby, they're still going to play their game. They're not going to just throw in the towel and do whatever. They're going to play it out to the very end, including C4 and stuff like that. Now, you could maybe look to fight some of these teams like Manic and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, it's kind of hard to find these teams when you don't really know what they're doing because they don't know if they want to keep playing the game. And, you know, that's sort of a mental block that teams need to get over. It's a good learning point now for them to deal with it because maybe it starts with scrims or going into this now, but Manic, you know, we like seeing you, of course, in the competition. 1 elimination for this map. Of course, you know, we want to see you come back next PMCO. Improve yourself again, seeing some improvement because even if, you know, you didn't perform well this tournament, doesn't mean that it wasn't all for naught. You can apply it, you know, to scrims and just come back stronger.
For sure, 100%. You know, and hopefully we do see that because I think they are definitely a squad that, you know, could have some potential. We could see them get to late game. It's just the in-game fighting that they just seem to be struggling with, and it's not a easy thing to fix. So hopefully we could see them make some adjustments over time, right, and just improve. That's what we'd like to see here. So getting, you know, into the game, C4 putting up some nice little points on the board. We're dealing with a full-fledged Northern Circle here. 4-1-2 is in the mix. YKG have 3 points already. Okay, all right. They have, what was it, 11 that they need to catch up with? So
11
that's
or 12,
a good little,
something close to that.
It's going to be somewhere out there. There's the live rankings. Okay, we see them. It's 8 points.
Wow.
8-point difference right now. So every single one is chunking away at Nomads, and Nomads are down a player. This is so huge. And looking down at 8th place, there's only a 1 place difference. Jerway's fan club have now been knocked out of 8th place.
Oh no, this is the worst case scenario for all these teams. If you're Nomads, if you're Jerway's fan club, I'm a little disappointed, Jigs. We don't see a botation on the last map, but obviously it's Erangel. People don't like doing it as much, but I'm personally a fan of it. Now, some of these teams that are on the east side, oh, it looks like Blue Team get a little bit of a drive-by going on by 4Bros. Does get traded out. Both of them getting knocked, I think, on that ridge line, and Blue Team wiping out 4Bros. So unfortunate to see they were the 12th place team, something around that, I believe. So they're out of it as well, Jukes, for the contention. 21st Century, another Edge team getting pieced apart by just frag grenades by C4. 1v3 situation out for Lux. And I mean, I'm not picturing another team third-partying this at all. There goes 21st Century Level X on that southern side of zone, picking up the last elimination. And unfortunately for them as well, I think they might be out of it as well, Jukes.
Oh, a tough situation here. Oh, things are starting to spice up, that's for sure. And a lot of teams that, you know, we were trying to make something happen here in the last game, we're not able to do so, and that's just going to be the name of the game. Big shout-outs to C4 for putting up 7 eliminations. That's good to see. You know, good to see some signs of life for them. I know I had to pour some water on top of my head because of this team before, you know.
I remember that one.
So I will never, ever underestimate C4. They definitely have the ability to clutch, that's for sure.
Yeah, they're going to have to clutch right now because they're against Old Gangs, is a team that has always been someone, you know, in the later half of the zones. A little bit quiet today, but going to this last match, they do have a pretty nice looking position here, 3v4. A little bit of a nade battle going on, some dodgeball, but Old Gangs, as I see, 2 off on the edge of the zone. I'm not sure if they'll really actually be able to take the fight with C4. Oz right now putting in some good shots, sick, right on top of Fatty or Pratty 2K right now. And OG, I think if you're them, you should have to back off this. I don't see you really winning this fight.
Oh, it's going to be tough, that's for sure. And let's see what the Old Gangsters can do. Old Gangsters were one of those teams looking to possibly secure that third place finish. I think, yeah, second and first are way out of their range at this point. But they're still having some fun with it. C4 making it happen. Nice nade there. Oh, I thought that was it. I thought that was it for sure.
Good
Let's see where this
damage.
next circle goes. 2. Imagine a circle goes all the way north and we have a water zone to finish things off.
Water zone would be sweet. One of those little islands off on the coast, and there we go. Katri finally activating, had a bit of an off-angle play, but his teammates are already kind of knocked. Not sure if he's going to get the reset on a Pratty, but Blue Tiam as well. On this east side, we also see Twisted Militia just to the north as well, and there's a lot of teams on this east side kind of just holding each other's hands until the blue zone maybe has to move.
Yeah, he's holding some hands for now, but man, they're going to have to make some changes here in just a second because we're starting to see some plays come out, and Sick with the DBS on the push on the OG.
Last player alive. No one else left on C4, Jukes.
Brutal. But C4, right? I like C4's just aggression here at the end, and man, there they go. Eliminated there in 10th place.
Yeah, but I mean, they had a knock onto an OG player as well, so Blue Tiam possibly has a chance. Doesn't seem like they're going to go for it, but 2 knocked on OG. I'm not sure if he's going to get both of them alive. The zone is closing right now, so it might just be only one person you can save. And yeah, I mean, for right now, it's a lot of these teams going to be needing to kind of almost start counting the points themselves, thinking, okay, we have this much. Are we safe?
Yes.
How many teams does this team have? And you almost might get a little bit too confused on what's going on in the match.
Well, I'll tell you one team that isn't confused. It's YKG. They know exactly how many points they need, and they haven't seen one come out of 4-1-2. Come on, 4-1-2. I want to see them continue with that consistency, right? Because YKG, we know that they can handle the nerves. Can 4-1-2 do the same? That's going to be the question, right? They've been consistent all tournament long, but now it's time to get that clutch badge, baby. You got to be able to clutch it up in the final hour. And YKG slowly started to creep on Level X. Smart play from Level X. Leave. That is the play, especially when you realize who you're going up against. You need points desperately. You want to make sure you secure that 8th place. A lot of teams below you and above are now out. The push on the OG. This is that 3rd place team. Here they go. Nice finish.
Yeah, but YKG is still close. It's not like they ran away from him just yet. Levelx got in, but oh my goodness. Chico gets one knock opening. I want to see if, you know, if YKG just chooses to slam him right here.
Rough smoke. I understand the smoke. I understand why you're doing it, but all you're doing is just opening up the door to YKG to just push you for free. And now here they come.
Wow.
Level X is in big, big trouble. That was not the smoke. That was not the smoke at all.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the idea is to block those little windows on the shack, but didn't really smoke it right. Chico just absolutely bombarding the zone. Joey just distracting. Karna just forced into a 1v3 position, gets knocked out by Chico, and almost the run over. Joey in a little bit of a 1v1 position. I would like to see him not get finished. 24K comes through, and I mean, 7 eliminations now, Jukes. The lobby is starting to dwindle.
You never smoke out that window. The only time you smoke out the shack like that is if you have a teammate or an enemy team that's close enough with a nade range, and you want to just avoid them having the easy line to throw a nade into your window. But if a team is so far away like YKG, you smoke yourself out, they're just gonna push you and take you out 100%. So, not the time to learn that lesson, unfortunately, for Level X, but a great opportunity for YKG because they are on the hunt here, trying to clutch up first place, $6,000. Where are you, Nomads? Nomads still with 0 eliminations. They're just trying to play it safe, but they got to watch out because YKG is tearing up the lobby.
Yeah, and I think this is a bit of a misplay. It seems like they're almost just waiting for YKG maybe to lose 1 or 2 players. They're just kind of ratting on the far west side of zone while YKG is just dominating half the map. Now Black Mamba, ooh, tragic 1v1. Twix hitting a nice little jump out 180. And this is the time for Blue Team. Start working towards Black Mamba. You could possibly pass up Old Gangsters, who's been cleared out, and Black Mamba, if you can get a good, solid game here.
Let's see what they decide to do. You can see Jassy Boy getting some shots downrange. YKG needs some more points. I don't think that what they have right now is going to be enough because 412 is still clutching up some placement points. YKG have their whole squad and they're playing this so separately. This is getting crazy here. Gervais fan club are in the mix, right? So they are trying to hold on to that 8th place finish. They're still alive, but a goose egg so far for them as well. So they need to start getting some eliminations under their belt sooner rather than later. Here comes Blue Tiam, though, onto Black Mamba.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I'm not sure if Black Mamba can even make it back up the mountain here. They had to go for the reset down on the coastline, and Papi Triste looks like he's at least 100, 200 meters away. They're smoking off the angle, which is a great play, and look at the kill spread. 5 onto Junior. I'm not sure if he's one of the leading gunners, but if he is, I'd be worried for Black Mamba because he's one of those players that can piece you out, and a Papi Triste does have the 3 on high. It looks like they will be able to get up, maybe if he drives the car down and lets him drive it up, but Blue Tiam now maybe has enough space now to say, hey, let's wait for the next zone shift. Let's see how it goes. JFC, of course, the fan club. They've been the team that's ratting, the team that's been on that cusp of qualifying. And, you know, right now, they're getting placement point streaks. Every team eliminated gets to maybe 1 or 2 extra points. So I like the idea from them. But in terms of Nomad doing that same position, I would not be comfortable whatsoever because YKG is the type of team that's able to eliminate literally every single player in this lobby that's remaining.
Yes, they are. Oh my gosh, that's a knock on the Crow from YKG. YKG knocking out one of the Nomads here. If they realize it's them, they're full pushing them 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that YKG maybe finishes or remembers the team slot of who's where, but Twix being a little bit of a spearhead for his team, finding one elimination on a Black Mamba, peeking over, gets the last elim, might get knocked to falling, he does. 1v2 situation, runs away, doesn't get it off. 10 eliminations, Jukes, and that was on Black Mamba, a team that already had a few eliminations. This is the play for 3rd place right now. It's not just the 8th spot, it's not just 1st place, it's everywhere on the leaderboard.
Well, I want to look right now. I want to just stare at this team. I hope that, I know the observers are hearing me. Let's take a look here at 412 and YKG to see who's going to get that 1st place finish. Obviously, it's your Waste Fan Club still on that hunt for top 8. But right now, my eyes are just seeing if YKG can take them out. Look at this. Your Waste Fan Club's got the eyes on the Chico by that rock. And looking at where the position is, YKG's out of the zone. So is Gervais. They have to move. They need to leave this building like sooner rather than later.
Yeah, but notice it's just YKG kind of doing a one-up play. They already have someone in zone, I think, on a shack. So Gervais fan club, even if they rotate, they have Blue Tiam on that northern edge. And then on the centered spot, it's YKG. So it's almost a pick your poison kind of ordeal. You also can't rotate early. YKG is the type of team where if they see you leave early, they could just slam the compound right now and shoot you in the back. So we'll have to wait and see. You know, timing's everything in this point of the game. It's all going to come down to, you know, which team is able to get the knocks on the right players.
Let's see what happens here as Gervais fan club does move over to these rocks. YKG's got the eye. Sight lines. They finally start to pull the trigger. And Crows putting up some points. You better watch out. Let's see what happens. Oh, nice shots here. I love the tapping. It's a little tap, tap, tap. Not able to get the knock, though. Joey does get one, though. Oh, YKG, they're going to start pushing this.
Yeah, I mean, they've already had someone close. Oh, wait a second. That might be a fault, but Joey's still driving in. Chico's the one that was knocked. He's outside of the zone. Maybe in nade range. It looks like they're trying to throw nades at each other from far. While that's going on, Blue Tiam getting a knock on the Crow as well. Both of the remaining 4 teams, they're taking their own little 3v3, 4v4 fights on the map.
Gun Pain goes down to 412. 412 is hurt bad. They only have 1 player up. This is brutal. They can't afford to go out right now. 412 Nomads have been consistent all tournament long, and now not able to get any eliminations. It is not looking good. They have 2 knocked. And, oh, it doesn't look like they're going to get res. The last player's up, just 24K. See him? He does it. He's too busy scanning the whole entire map. I can't blame him. But, oh, the final player from 412 barely getting away. Oh, and they're big trouble. Here come the nades.
No.
Blue Tiam looking to crush the dreams of 412. And this is a lot of money to lose right here if they're not able to hold on.
Yeah, I mean, consistent all tournament long for YKG, just a drop, you know, a 30-plus point game at the start of the day. You must have had some sort of mental seeing, you know, the scoreboard of, you know, we dropped 9 eliminations that first Erangel. And now here it's just, you know, are we even going to see 1 or 2 eliminations on the board for them? I'm not too sure. Gunpain trying to get info. Twix is going to pick up the free elimination point, while everyone else is kind of stabilized. So it's either going to be 4-1-2 clutching up this 1v2 situation, or maybe having their dreams crushed of that $6,000 game.
Right now, it's just about just getting more placement points. There's no way he survives. Yeah, and you can see Exynos just trying to catch him with this last nade.
Oh, the zone.
Oh, what a brutal circle. And he gets beat up, too, down to half an HP. This is just worst case scenario for 4-1-2. Blue Team is just looking to crush their dreams. It's unfortunate they weren't able to get even a single elimination point. The door has been swung open for YKG. It is now their time to shine.
Yeah, I mean, if you're 4-1-2, you're just hoping that Jerway's fan club is able to
He
do
goes
something.
down!
There it goes. 1 elimination point, chicks. That's barely any points gained. We're seeing YKG 7 points. They get a few, oh my goodness. I was going to say a few elims this round with the 10 placements if they win, and they for sure have it in the bag. But if you're Jerway's fan club, Nomads is praying right now for you to get an opening, whether it's 24K here or Joey or whatever, but it's not looking likely, Juice.
It's not looking likely at all because, man, 24K, that's another point on the board. Each one of these is like a dagger in the heart for 4-1-2 Nomads. And YKG doesn't look like they're going to go down without a fight, and that is for sure. Jerway's fan club clutching it up here, right? Because they are the team that was right there on that 8th place slot. They're the last team alive, so it looks like they might just be able to make it into this grand finals by the skin of their teeth, and YKG looking to walk away with $6,000 in their pocket. Hey, got to give a shout out to Blue Tian, though. 14 eliminations already. This squad popped off here in the last match.
Yeah, I don't even think the last match, the last day even has been, you know, this whole entire day has been amazing for them. But if I'm looking at, you know, Jerway's fan club, 1 elimination point. Now, I do know that the placements might save you here, but, you know, not everyone has the live scores, not even us for that matter. So if I'm them, I'm trying to go at least 2 or 3 more eliminations. Try to get every point you can get. And it looks like Fears gets knocked by a Blue Tian player. Like Xenos, maybe Jerway's fan club has a moment here to make a play happen, get some aggression going, but it doesn't seem like the case. This hesitation we've talked about all tournament long for the last chance qualifiers kind of taking into effect here. And I don't want to leave it up to chance here, Jigs. I feel like there's too many elimination points that these other borderline teams have of you being comfortable with this last match.
Let's see what happens. Oh, some nice shots. He's going to get the headshot. He's going to take him out. Yep, he does.
Oh, nice.
24K goes down. And will this be enough points here? Will this be enough to catch him? So far, it's looking good, but I think 8 is right on that borderline. These placement points are going to come huge as well. Joey gets a nice little finish there. I mean, oh, that's 9. YKG just clutching it up towards the end. So insane to watch.
Yeah, and the scary thing is, too, is, you know, they're playing on top of the shack here, so they have a bit of elevation. They're able to render you out from far, and these are the type of players they've shown it all tournament long. They're able to hit those long-range shots. They have the eyes of eagles, so to speak, and there goes another snake in the grass. Another one gone. 1 on Blue Tiam and 1 on Jerway's fan club. And we've said it earlier, Chooks, but I think I'm going to say it again. It's looking like another YKG Erangel win to finish off these qualifiers.
Well, it's going to be hard to beat that. I think YKG are going to be your PMCO last chance qualifier champions. I mean, they're just looking unstoppable right now. Joey throwing the curveballs there. Running out in the open, just looking too good. This is what confidence looks like, folks. These guys just don't mess around.
Yeah, 12 elimination points. Maybe his hits
to
finish the tournament. Jerway's fan club, of course, the big needed points, but YKG back to back. A few little, you know, Hail Mary throws in there for the frags at the end, but I mean, YKG just really showing everyone why they're considered the best team.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, they did not stray away from their plan, right? They played the same game that they did before. I think it was really advantageous for them to have literally almost a very similar circle to their game one performance. And their game one performance was a legendary one. So all they had to do was the same thing, and they did it, right? Now, unfortunately for 412, they had been consistent all tournament long, and they just weren't able to get started here. I think they got a little bit too comfortable with their lead. I think they thought, hey, all we got to do is survive, and we should be able to win this with our lead. But they should have recognized that, hey, this was a very similar circle to game one. YKG ended with 22 eliminations. I think we got to play our game as well. And look at that, 23 points on the side of YKG, and Nomads only getting 5. I mean, I don't think I need to brush up on my math. I think that's going to be more than enough to claim the championship title and that $6,000.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing to note there too is, it's not like we're harping on Nomads or anything in any way. They played amazing. I think they were more consistent than YKG when it comes to average points in some of the matches, but YKG being able to show up when it matters most and being able to have those stellar games that are just better performances than the Nomads. One team I have to shout out, of course, is Blue Tiam. 19 total points. They had more eliminations that game, Jukes, than YKG, only having the 5 placement points, but for them, they've shot up, I think, around from 6th or 7th starting today into potentially the 3rd place spot right now. They took out Black Mambas, who was the team above them. Old Gangsters got eliminated. We see here 9th place, only 4 points. Now, unfortunately, Saturn, they were that 7th place team. They did drop a goose egg. I think they might still be, in that safe contention, but we'll have to wait for the live scores. I'm kind of dying to see where the leaderboard ends up for most of these middle of the pack teams and who really took that 8th position.
Well, Enigma, we don't have to wait any longer. Let's go ahead and bring up those overalls, see who won this thing. And, of course, it's YKG clutching it up. And Jerway's fan club also clutched it up with that 8th place finish. Because I tell you what, in the middle of that last game, they got passed up. They got passed up, but they survived to the end, and they were able to lock down that last qualification spot, and Blue Tiam as well. Oh my gosh, Old Gangsters got knocked down to 5th.
Yeah, and I mean C4 as well. They were they were one of those top 4 teams. Really poor performance today. Thankfully, the first 2 days were able to save them, but C4 dropping down to 6th. That is some huge money changes going on here, Jukes. For just the last day of play, Blue Tiam, 66 elimination points. 3rd most. I think half of those must have been from today, because it seemed like every other game they were dropping double-digit elimination points. But Jerway's fan club clutching it up. It's the fan club genes, I'm telling you. Has to be something with it. But Saturn Esports, of course, as well. 7th place, they dropped a goose egg, but they were on, that middle point. Wasn't really too sure if teams would pass them up. But, all these 8 teams, we love to see them. Some of them we predicted. I had faith in, YKG and 4-2 Nomads making it up here. But I'm loving to see these teams like Old Gangsters, Jerway's fan club, Saturn Esports, names that I haven't seen before, really show up and prove that they're able to hang with some of the best teams.
Oof. The finest 4, man, not too far off the mark. Unfortunately, just not able to make it into that top 8. Guys, of course, always make sure you check the socials. You never know what could happen as far as the leaderboard, so wait for the post to make sure on the official scoreboard. But, I mean, this looks as official as it can get right here. So a great tournament overall, guys. Make sure you go ahead and find us on socials right there. Use that hashtag PMCO. Keep the conversation going. I love to see what you guys are talking about in the chat, about different regions. What could NA do? All that kind of good stuff. So, man, hopefully we could see some more in the next 3 days. As a matter of fact, I know you and my boy Mustache Dave are going to be casting those PMCO Grand Finals, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and I mean, I always enjoyed, these last 3 days spending with you, Jigs. It was a pleasure. Maybe, the next 3 days, I'm going to have to match Dave. I know his is legit, but maybe I'll have to get one of those 99-cent fake mustaches to compete with them. But, I'm looking forward to it. PMCO Grand Finals 3-day event, and we're seeing, if it's anything close to what these last chance qualifiers were, I think Dave and I are going to have a blast. So much love, of course. Love seeing all the games happen. I just love being here, man.
Hey, you know what? Me as well. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. It was a great one. I love to see those last game qualifications. Big shout outs to YKG, everybody that qualified, all of you guys watching. You guys are the real winners here. Thank y'all so much. I'm Hot Jukes here with Enigma. We will see you guys next time.